Welcome, everyone, to the Destiny Community Podcast. This is my first and last episode because of the technical issues. I was going to be replacing Teft and Fran, but after seeing this blunder, I'm out.
Hey, man, it was a good run, though. You almost made it like 30 seconds. It was great.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Strong run.
I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited for this.
You know, it's been a minute. We've been really wanting you to come on, but honestly, we were concerned about so many factors. Having both you, Tefty, and Fran on the same page, on the same screen, we just thought that was a little too much beautiful.
Yeah.
All at once.
It would crack too many screens. You'd have insurance claims.
I mean, we also didn't want there to be some like competition among, you and Fran, who has the better hair. It's just it was really for the safety and happiness of our fans. And so we really appreciate you coming on the show. Unfortunately, there's really just not a whole lot to talk about going on in the Destiny community. It's really sort of dry out there.
That's right. We're going to talk about No Man's Sky Beyond VR for the next 2 hours.
So if you're ready, buckle in. I hear it's amazing.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tefty couldn't be with us this week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He's actually squirreled away in the depths of Casa del Hipster. He's working on his next great project, though, and we're really excited about it. This is something that he has been promising for some time now. He's actually right now, at this very minute, working on the DCP theme song. He's going to drop it the day he comes back.
Yep.
And, man, blood, sweat, and tears going into this thing. Really excited about it.
It is a very exciting time. Very exciting.
Yeah.
I got a little snippet of it. He sent me a little soundbite of it, and it sounds hot. It's got a beat that you can dance to, right?
Oh, really?
It's just not too much, right? It's not in your face. There's not a whole lot of thwub, 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 a lot of bass, but it definitely, you can dance to it.
All right, I like it. Is there gonna be swinging light bulbs?
There should be, and it's staged in a boxing ring. It's really kind of crazy. He's recording it in a boxing ring. It's sort of odd, but it works somehow.
Oh, I can't wait. This is really exciting. It's really exciting.
Well, and you know what's even more exciting is what Fran has been up to.
What's Fran been up to?
Well, lots.
That sigh didn't sound good.
It's been going for a long time now, and it's kind of come to a head with his colluding with the enemy.
That's right.
So
that's not exciting. That's terrible.
Well,
it's terrible exciting for us, but we have to accept it. It's been like this for a long time.
So he's on RezoCast now?
Yes.
He's kind of like
jumping ship.
He's like a podcast slut,
I didn't want to say it.
It's just how it is. I mean, Frankie 2 times, White Glove 2 times.
Who would have thought?
2-timer.
We like to joke about the RezoCast, but I got to say, I really actually love those guys. Well, that's actually what I would say if I was being politically correct. Actually, I hate those guys. Like, they're really bad people, especially Wilson. He is as toxic as I've ever seen anybody be.
I can't stand the guy, really. I've been trying to get him banned on Twitter for. I report him every time he puts something out.
Yeah, with good reason.
With good reason. But I did want to thank everybody who participated today in every. And if you're hearing this, there's still time. Go click on my Twitter. Every few months, I ask the community, our fans that are listening, to tag in a Twitter post someone that you want to see on the show for future episodes. And I want to thank everyone. I get hundreds of submissions. It's a really great opportunity for me to follow people that I haven't heard of, I haven't had a chance to watch or be a part of their communities. So it really gets me a chance to watch them. I also wanted to just put it out there that there are a lot of people, and I may not get to everybody that you want to see on the show, but know that I am, and I take down those lists very carefully, and I'm following that. The participation of our Patreon members in this process is huge. They contribute to what makes this podcast run. And so I want to do a quick shout out at the beginning of this podcast to everybody who supports us through Twitch, through watching our YouTube channels, to those that contribute on our Patreon. You guys make this happen, and it's huge. So make sure you follow that link off of my Twitter. Post people you want to see, and I'll go do the work to get him on the show. That's how MTashed is here. His community reached out and said, get this guy on here. And I was like, hell no. And then they're like, no, for real. And then I said, no. And then eventually they badgered me to a point where I had to get him on. So that's where we are.
He's asked me about 6 times, please, come on, we need something to bring in the views. And I finally caved, honestly.
The price was high, MTashed. It was really hard for us to scrape up to all that cash, but we finally got it together.
I had no idea that a content creator of your caliber charges that much to come on a show like this. We could only afford him for 15 minutes, so
that's like ninja money, man. Come on,
we're done.
Have a good evening. Yeah, you're done.
We're out.
We're done
now.
Good conversation.
Thanks, though. But hey, all joking aside, we got a absolute crap ton.
It's probably the most insane week we've had news-wise on a podcast, because we had a stream that was all about Arma 2.0 and a little bit of sandbox change. We had the director's cut from Luke 2 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lukey 2 times.
Lukey 2 times. and then we had a TWAB that had actual info in it, which doesn't usually happen after so much info.
Lots, you said before the podcast that there's a 3rd director's cut coming out tomorrow. I was like, oh God, thank God he didn't do that before the podcast. There's so much to talk
It'll
about.
be 6 hours long.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, there's a lot to cover, and
there really
curious
is.
to hear everyone's thoughts, because like I have my thoughts, but
yeah,
I feel like some of the stuff is kind of polarizing. Actually, some of it's surprisingly polarizing. So
yeah. Some of the
tomorrow,
changes are
tomorrow is going to be a
huge.
Bloodbath. If it's not like really good news, tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting. Because as soon as you bring the PvP crowd in, like,
yeah,
I think we all know how vocal some of us can get. I mean, but
the news, like some of the changes are so big that it's almost hard to wrap your mind around them, because there's so many changes and they're coming all at the same time. It's hard to like think about how's this going to work with this. Each change has got to interact with each other. It's going to be interesting, like day one.
It's going to be a welcome change for me, though. Like, it's been 2 years of playing pretty much the same game.
Yeah,
they've evolved. Obviously the weapon system changed back to the Destiny 1 thing, but this is going to be a new system that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the most exciting thing. We've got the artifact coming and the armor coming, and so whether the perks are the same, I've never been able to interact with them this way, and so that excites me. And the idea of getting builds is really appealing, because I was actually thinking about this in the shower before. I had a shower thought. I understand that Destiny is a looter shooter and it's about getting loot, but like, I personally get frustrated in Destiny when I don't have the right scavenger perks for the activities, or I didn't get that one little thing. I personally find that frustrating, and I'm more in the game for the activities, like Shattered Throne when it comes out. I want to beat Shattered Throne. I want to attack Shattered Throne with a team and do it solo. And I find those activities more fun than finding the gear in a lot of cases with Destiny, because I would say that the gear isn't deep enough to be freaking out over a drop, other than maybe a new exotic. Like the legendary armor that's dropping, it's either got the scavenger perk you need or it doesn't. And getting rid of that and being able to tune things to be the ultimate PvE monster or the PvP monster, that excites me, because then I can just go into those harder activities or those new activities and enjoy them with the loadout that I want. So
yeah, it looks like you're going to have agency in creating that loadout too.
Yes.
There's going to be some RNG involved still, but you're going to have, a lot of options as far as how do I want to play this game and how do I want to build this armor set to suit my play style.
Yeah, just from the stream, for the most part, I was just super happy, because when they first just loaded up the character screen and there's all those numbers, it's like, holy crap, that's a lot of numbers. So now every time when I get a new armor piece drop or something, I'm just gonna be looking at it like, all right, okay, good, we're good. It's gonna take me a long time. I'm gonna be really inspecting every single piece. I really like that you're gonna be able to look almost exactly how you want for the most part, because that's something that we haven't really had in Destiny ever. you've always had to, if you want it to be super effective, you usually had to choose that over fashion. A lot of the time.
Let's try and explain exactly what Armor 2.0 is.
Right. Yes.
Can you take the lead on this? Like, what is Armor 2.0?
Do you want me to explain?
Yeah,
well,
okay.
Pretty good.
It's like 2.0 with armor.
So what they're doing is they're making 3 elements. There's void, solar, and arc. We know this. Some of them are going to be static rolls. So they said that the arc solstice gear, the hunter solstice gear is going to be arc affinity. And arc affinity is more weighted towards shotguns. And so you'll see more shotgun perks on that one. Void affinity has snipers, hand cannons, more precision weapons. And so based on the element, there's going to be different mods, but you can choose which mods you want as long as you've unlocked them, allowing you to essentially cater your build within your armor, and you can slot it in and out as you see fit for a very, very small cost. So if you need to adjust because you're changing your weapon, instead of going and farming a completely new build, there's a very good chance you can just change a mod on your gear. So it's going to be a little bit more customization and kind of optimization, I would say. But there's also going to be 3 new stats, or I guess we should say old stats on the gear now. So there's going to be, the mobility, the resilience, and the recovery like before. But now there is intellect, discipline, and strength from the first game that will impact super, grenades, and your melee. And this is interesting because they've adjusted as well, because there's no mod slot. Like right now there's the super mod slot. You can put a super mod or resilience mod in there. They've kind of taken that away, and you can slot in kind of perks into your gear to impact your super generation and your intellect, but they've taken one of those mods out. They've added kind of basic or base stats onto the gear. And so that's going to be a whole new component where you're farming for gear with the highest possible stats, and then
with the intellect, discipline, and strength that you're looking for.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. And
possibly the correct energy type.
And all that. Yeah.
Yes. Do we want to jump into that right away? The whole energy type shkabacle that's been going on.
Sure.
So basically what's changing is so we have void, arc, and solar energy. They're making it to where certain mods are only able to be slotted into certain elements. So one example is hand cannon reloader is a void mod. So you have to have a void piece of armor to be able to slot that specific mod into your armor. So I've seen a lot of people be kind of just, okay, this is whatever. But then I've seen quite a lot of other people that are upset by this, because Armor 2.0 was this thing that was completely freeing. It was like, build your way, do your thing. And then it seems like Bungie has added this energy thing that stops us from having a build that we want to the very, very specifics for no particular reason.
What effects in game are going to be the energy, what effect does that have in game? If I'm wearing void armor, what does that mean?
I think it's your defense against void attacks.
Okay.
Like void enemies, but I don't think other than that, it's just the mods that are on it and then the defense. But
so I'm guessing it's not going to have an effect in Crucible then?
Not really.
Right? Because usually that stuff doesn't work.
I mean, we already have that. I think people are just upset that they're gonna have to get the void armor for their arms if they want to be able to slot in the hand cannon loader. And then because, say, if they want to run, this is just me throwing stuff out there, but if they wanted to run, hand cannon loader and then say shotgun loader, they can't do that because shotgun is an arc affinity weapon.
Oh, so if you want to put 2 mods on the same pair of arms, if you are a hand cannon and shotgun guy, and you want to be able to reload both of them, you can't do it. You're actually going to have to switch your armor.
You're going to have to think which gun means more to me to have that really dialed in reload. Or Luke did say on Twitter that there are going to be general mods where it will be light arm reloader, for example, that does the same thing as a hand cannon loader.
Similar to what we have now.
It's just not as...
So could that be done for balancing purposes?
Yes.
So Tomo was actually in chat, in my chat yesterday when we were having this whole discussion, and he said that it's a more long-term vision of making elements meaningful.
That would be nice. That's
so
never really been the case before.
Well, this is the thing. So I like this and I'm concerned about it. I like it because elements don't mean anything. And now this, when something drops and it's void, I'm like, oh yeah, thank God it's void, finally. It actually makes me excited about it, which is nice. But it does seem very like, why did they do this? I don't really see the point of them doing it. It's kind of weird. But then to hear that maybe this is a long-term goal of, maybe they go even deeper where we can get super exciting weapons like the void hole creator that Tefty always talks about, because they're really trying to make these elements, these energies mean something. And when you see void, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's totally this type of playstyle. You see arc, you're like, yeah, it's totally like close quarter combat.
Well, right off the bat in the Crucible, I could see why they would want to do it, because if you could have one set of arms with both, let's say, hand cannon and sniper reload speed, right? You'd never have to make a decision. You make one set of, arms for that, and you never have to say, there's an interesting decision here. Do I want to have fast reload speed on my hand cannon, or do I want to have it on my sniper instead, or on your shotgun? To me, it's a way of balancing out and giving players a decision to make instead of just giving them one thing that's all powerful and there's no decision to make.
The interesting thing too, though, is like, okay, so right now people are worried, like, okay, well, now I have to get this one for hand cannon, I got to get this one for sniper.
Yeah.
And there's some situations, for example, if you wanted, let's say, hand cannon loader or enhanced hand cannon loader. But you also wanted grenade scavenger, that might not come on a void glove. Like I haven't looked at all the mods, but there's some situations where currently it could. Like right now I have a glove and it could have enhanced cannon loader, but then it could have sniper, grenade, shotgun. It doesn't matter what scavenger's on it. And so there actually is some cases where your year one gear might be best in slot. And you can use a different mod and you won't have intellect and discipline, but you can still throw a super mod on there. It'll still have some value. And so there are going to be some interesting cases where there might be one slot in particular. Let's say it's the boots. Let's say it's the gloves, where you might want to use a year one piece of gear. So don't just get rid of everything. But the other thing too is, let's say you can't specialize into, the hand cannon and the shotgun. Well, what you can do is you can go even heavier into the hand cannon. And so now your hand cannon has even better reload because you could do small arms and the enhanced loader. And so, yes, you can't get the shotgun perk. You can't get the shotgun reload. Maybe you can't get the shotgun scavenger on those void gloves, but now you have an even better hand cannon. And so, it is this kind of give and take system.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, you can also make a void set, a solar set, and an arc set. Get one of each, build them how you want. It does give you a lot of customization. And if you have to make some sacrifices, there's probably a lot of areas where you're getting way more bang for your buck, drastically more.
I think that this is important to note what the tone that they're setting for this, and why the director's cut, some of the things that Luke brought up in the director's cut, our Guardians have gotten too powerful, right? And creating specializations and requiring this kind of, it reminds me of like the Call of Duty Pick 10 system, or there's been lots of games that have been examples of it. You can't create the most powerful loadout for your Guardian because it breaks the game. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to you specialize in your character to do a thing, and makes you think about what you got to do with your character. And then
when I saw this, Pope, it reminded me of Call of Duty's Pick 10 system.
Yeah, it totally is.
You could never make your Call of Duty soldier the perfect soldier. You had to specialize, right? And I kind of like that about Call of Duty, and to have that come to Destiny is appealing to me.
And so when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, well, what does it mean to specialize your character in Destiny? And I thought about one of the key elements of the director's cut is talking about combatants. And I know Tomo can't talk about all this stuff because they're still going to be talking about it later. Oh my gosh, my baby.
It's okay.
She's trying to get into the room where I'm at. Hi, honey. You got to get some clothes on for to be on camera, okay? All right. So what I saw in the director's cut is what they've been talking about. The combatant design is too difficult to make engaging enemies that where our guardian isn't crazy overpowered and that we don't really have to think about it. Well, with elemental picks having to come with specific types of weapons, doesn't it make combatant design more creative at that point? You can create something, an enemy. I feel like they're designing this UI, or not this UI, but this sandbox with the combatant design as a heavy part of this. How are they going to make Destiny fun and engaging? Well, our character, we have to choose what our character is going to do in a specific situation, and it's going to be difficult for us.
So instead of the current system where you can just choose to be more powerful,
right?
You can still choose to be more powerful, but you're going to have to choose to be more powerful. You're going to have to specialize, in a certain direction.
Right, and
if it works, it sounds genius. We'll have to wait until Shadowkeep comes out to see if it works.
So, like, the thing is too, and maybe it's because we've gotten better at the game. Maybe the game has gotten easier, but I still remember the first Nightfall ever of Destiny 1. It was Arc Burn. It was the one where you had to kill the. It was Sepix Prime. It was the Sepix Prime one. I couldn't believe how hard it was, and we were like all figuring out. Okay, well, if we use arc abilities, we'll do more damage. We're trying to find arc weapons. Someone found a arc machine gun, or the Thunderlord. There's a Thunderlord, I'm pretty sure, and was just like wrecking house. We finally beat it, but we had to make choices in our loadout and choose, subclasses based on this Nightfall. Well, what if they upped the damage of elements? And so if you're going up against a bunch of Minotaurs and a bunch of enemies with Void, you better bring a Void set. That would be a kind of a cool thing. It would change the difficulty of the game severely, and you might have to choose different weapons because you have to use a Void set. What's wrong with that? It would add so much, variability to this combat, and a Nightfall might be this thing where it's like, all right, it's Void. Let's get our Void builds out. Let's get our Void hand cannon out with the enhanced perks. I would love to see that personally.
Yeah. It sounds like it could be cool. I see that how the change could be disturbing, but it sounds like it's going to be cool to me because I want decisions. I don't want to just get more powerful. I want decisions.
Yeah, it seems really cool to me, and also a lot of the time when you have complete freedom, it ends up being a very specific thing that is really good, and then people just end up getting that thing that's really, really, really good because you have all these other options, but there's this one thing that's clearly the best. So a lot of the time, actually, when it comes to balancing and giving people interesting options, it tends to go the opposite way, where if you limit people's options, it actually makes people be more creative and create different builds than just having this wide open thing. So the good thing, though, is about this, I think it should be pretty easy for Bungie to just kind of turn it off if it's not doing well and people are upset about it, because it's, you can just take the energy requirement off of those perks, off of those mods, and then it'll be fine. But I think for them trying it out and us getting our hands on it and seeing if this is something we're interested in, I think is a good thing. And if this is the beginning step of them making energy a lot more interesting, then I'm excited for that. I would love for energy to be more interesting and actually mean something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested in being challenged again in a way that MTashed was talking about it at the beginning. You mentioned the challenges that you were. I'm sorry, the Ascendant Plane. You were talking about the
Shattered Throne.
Shattered Throne. Thank you. Yeah. So those encounters are being what you find engaging in Destiny, and Shattered Throne is an example of what I feel like I hope they're going towards. I hope they're going towards that direction where those encounters can be engaging and difficult and challenging in a way that you have to go back. Maybe you fail at first and you got to go back and you got to design a character build that will work. I'm really sorry about everybody. Like, there's so much noise at my house. I'm going to keep muting my mic. I apologize for everybody.
You got family. You got family. You got to do what you got to do.
But yeah, they've said they're working towards making the game more challenging. We don't know what exactly they're going to be doing with that. I think actually tomorrow's write-up will give us some insight, because they did say that they were going to be talking about how buffs and debuffs and all that stuff is going to be working, because all of it is changing. They're changing quite a lot just with the general sandbox of Destiny now. So yeah, I'm excited to see what this challenge is. it's actually pretty interesting that we've seen that our light level or our power level is now at least 960, right? They've mentioned the number 960.
Yeah,
And
it's a
there
huge
is actually
jump.
there's something super interesting. So there was a
Yeah.
lore piece that was brought up. I'm going to read it from the phone, the part that's interesting. It's from the Truth to Power lore book. And it says, the letter reads, achieve light level 999 and defeat Dul Unkaru in a one-person fire team to unlock the true ending of the Dreaming City.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So if we are reaching 999 at any point, we could be looking at this like really challenging solo experience to take down.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah,
That's
that
gonna be
sounds really cool. We've never really had
Yeah.
that, right? Like a solo built specifically for solo and a solo experience. But, you know, of course, you can do Shatterthrone solo, and they clearly tweaked it to where solo is doable. But to create a challenging solo experience, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Super.
So
And if they can make rewards for those activities really cool, like that would be mint. And they kind of mentioned like we want people to, you know, do these challenges and feel good for doing these challenges, because, you know, that's one of the best parts of the game is overcoming these hard things. And, you know, solo Shattered Throne, I did it for the first time last week, and it was fantastic. It was balanced pretty well. It was difficult, but it was also one of the most satisfying things I've done in Destiny. Now, the only issue is doing it didn't give any crazy reward, and so you probably don't get as many people trying it. And if they can, you know, bring it up, they have this awesome activity, but there's no real reason to do it solo other than, you know, a little triumph. What if there was a best in slot arm piece? It had the best intellect, best discipline, best strength. I would grind that. I would try every day until I beat it. And
Imagine
I think
the account recubs. That'd be great.
yeah. You can finally get something, Pope.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool though if now they have these like energy specific mods? What if there was an arm piece that dropped and it can slot all energy mods? Like that's
Yes.
something they could do in the future where it's like
a
holy crap, like, I really want that.
prismatic catalyst that you could apply to it. It works, but you can only do it from doing a hard activity. So if you're going to put in the time to do this hard stuff, you get rewarded for it. That would be perfect. Because there's been this long-term thing where power levels don't really matter, and you can do the hardest activity, but once you beat it, there's no real reason. Add some reasons. We're golden.
They're changing the way power is going to be earned in a huge way.
They're changing everything.
In multiple
it's all
ways,
being changed.
right?
Oh.
It does. It seems like they're just throwing everything at the wall here. So the power level for regular gear that you earn like through regular activities is going to be 950, or that's the power cap for kind of regular activities. And they're changing the way that you get to 950. Like any legendary engram is going to drop at your current power level, which is awesome. So if it's like your boots that are holding you back, like say all your gear is 950 except for your boots. Next time you get boots, they're going to drop it like, you know, 949 or 950, right? So it's going to make it much easier to get over those humps where RNG is just fucking you and fucking you and fucking you on these boots. You know, it's going to get rid of that for you. But
well, it's it may drop, so it's like it's a chance. There's still RNG in there.
But any legendary though, can drop at your power level. Yeah,
which is way better than what we have right now.
You don't have to wait for just a prime engram.
Yeah,
to get those boots.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they're not gonna allow that to happen very often though. When I read it, I'm like, that's gonna be probably a pretty low chance that drops. But it'll be exciting. It gives it that opportunity, and it will be exciting when you get it. So that's cool. Makes it meaningful.
So once you hit 950, you are going to be able to actually go above that. And there's two different ways you can do it, right? Is you're gonna be able to do, you know, end game activities that can give you higher than 950 power rewards. And you have this new artifact system where you level up, and that can give you more power as well. So earning XP can actually earn you more power in game, as opposed to just giving you like bright engrams or something.
Which I think is great.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a weaker PvE player, a PvP player, and you're having a tough time in Iron Banner or other activities. Well, if you play a whole bunch, you'll slowly trickle up, and then eventually you might hit that threshold where, hey, I can finally take on the raid. I can finally do this piece of content. And I think that's awesome. And why not reward players for playing more? And, maybe you can do the raids, but you also get these power levels from this. And maybe you have a bit of advantage in Iron Banner. Or if they do another pinnacle, let's say Trials came back. Let's say they did bring it back. It might be kind of cool for the people that play really hard to have that little bit of an advantage. But you can also catch up if you play a bunch. And I don't know. Yeah. I think it just adds that one little dynamic where you're going to feel like your time is being rewarded.
That's the key, I think,
it's
right?
Always a good thing. It's always a good thing.
Yeah, you're gonna feel like your playtime, no matter what you're playing, as long as you're earning XP, it's gonna be rewarded because you're gonna be just gaining power through your artifact. But you'll have a distinguishing kind of thing between people who earned it with gear and people who earned it with the artifact. So if you did go out and do, hard mode raid or something really difficult and you got like 960 level gear, that'll be reflected if people look at your character, right? You'll see, 960 level gear as opposed to 950 level gear with artifact getting you up to the rest, which I think is cool too, because it signifies that, oh, this guy actually... he beat the hard mode raid or whatever, Yeah.
And then the artifact is supposedly like resetting each season, and they're going to have different perks on it. Like it's almost a new armor piece that's bringing, some stats to you. And I don't know what it'll be.
Yeah, it's like a whole new
reloads. Who knows?
Yeah, so they said that the artifact is actually probably one of the things that I'm really excited about, because you're going to be able to level it up and you're going to get season specific mods from there. So, and they might stick around for other seasons, but they might not. They might go away. And this is I've always said that this is such a good way for them to balance the game without getting into all the spaghetti code. Because they can be like, this mod is a problem. Get rid of it, bring in another mod that's maybe super interesting, gives them the ability to try something that's super strong and not be bogged down with, we're going to have to do a whole patch to get rid of this thing. Just every season it's going to be reset. So I'm really excited for artifacts. I hope we get some really interesting mods, because currently a lot of the mods that are really good, or a lot of the perks that are really good, just increase your damage, which is kind of boring. I would really like to see more mods that just change the way that you play and add to different play styles. But I'm excited to see what we get from this artifact. It needs its whole own stream for the artifact.
Did they say they're doing a reveal of like the artifact, or are we going to kind of discover it when it launches? Like, is it one of those things they're keeping for us to discover?
No, actually.
They implied, I believe when Deej was talking about it on stream, he implied, he didn't specifically say artifact. He said there are some specific things that we're going to let you explore and be a part of. I think they're adding that. I think that's part of it.
Right.
I want there to be mystery, right? I do feel like they're opening up enough stuff for me to say, okay, I'm interested. This sounds exciting. But I might pare back a little bit if they start getting into like any exotics or things that they're going to be pushing out for this.
Yeah. Or story stuff.
Yeah, I might pull myself away from that at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, no matter what level you are, when Forsaken drops, even if you start with New Light, you're going to start the game at 750. You're going to immediately be able to...
Don't infuse anything else.
Yeah, right? Yeah, don't infuse anything.
Every item you have will get brought up to that level. So if you're wasting materials, which you're going to need to upgrade your gear, you're going to need masterworks, like shards. Do not waste them right now. If you want to masterwork a weapon that's really, really good or something like that.
We're not talking that far away though.
Yeah.
No, it's really close. Yeah, definitely gear. You don't really want to be bringing up, or if there's a gun that you really like, but it's sitting around 700 or 600 something, just kind of leave it where it is for now, because you'll get everything brought up for free, and you're going to be needing all of those. It's a lot of materials. It's a lot of materials that goes into bumping up your armor.
Yeah. So MTashed, you said it earlier. Do you guys all agree that based on what you've heard, that you shouldn't be going through and deleting your armor? And is it better to have the materials and stuff from the armor now, or is it going to be better after the launch to get the materials and armor then?
I don't think I see any harm in deleting armor that you're not going to use.
Right. I don't, because it would ruin the economy if they started and they said the only way to get Ascendant Shard or whatever this material is through dismantling legendary gear. And you've got 700 legendary gear, you'll never have to worry about those shards again. And
Right.
I that would be a very gross misstep if they did that.
Yeah.
And so I doubt that you'll get any new types of currencies from the armor.
Like old armor is going to be tied to old currencies.
I'm thinking
Probably.
They do that. They
If they
lock that
didn't, I-
down with other things. Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, they're going to bring the power level up. If you want to use it, there might be some, as I said before, if you're just tuning in now, there might be some specific things that, even though it's a year one piece, it could be best in slot. It has
Right.
the best loading perk. It might have the best scavenger, and you can't do that in the new system. We don't know yet, but you might want to hold on to some of those enhanced loader perks, or you got a couple good scavenger perks, because it might be the only way to get it, and you can still throw in a mod. So even though it might have less stats, they said that most of the world first rating teams, they're guessing, will be in year one gear, and using that for the world first raid, because it just will have the best rolls on it and the best access to overall good stats and perks for your character.
It'll also be
So
very
don't get rid of it.
costly upgrading your armor 2.0 gear to the place where your year 2 gear already was, right?
Yeah, because obviously a lot of, especially with, we have Iron Banner and we have Menagerie and we have Solstice, where we're just grinding out these enhanced perks and getting the perfect loadout for our armor. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit for Armor 2.0 to be as good as the God Roll armor that you've already created for yourself. But it's really nice that we're going to be able to slowly transition to Armor 2.0 if you want to.
Yeah.
You're not just thrown right in there.
It
So
seems
I
like
would
it's
say
going to be a
in terms of,
grind too, Watts, doesn't it? Like, once you get a good piece of armor 2.0, you're going to have to grind a little bit to, fully upgrade it.
Yeah, for sure. One really good thing about Armor 2.0 that Luke actually mentioned in the Twitter post is that we're going to get the mods that are like light arm loader and stuff like that, where it's a general use mod. We're going to have access to those immediately.
Yes.
So we're not going to have to unlock those. It's just the very specific mods we're going to have to unlock.
It's
that's
interesting.
cool.
I've seen people posting, kind of flexing a little bit of all the gunsmith materials they've been saving. I imagine doing that wouldn't be important right now, because it sounds like the gunsmith is where you're going to get those new mods.
Yeah.
Some of them.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if you're day one and you drop down there with, I'm just guessing, obviously I haven't played it, but you drop down with like, a few grand, $5 grand, $6 grand of gunsmith web parts, maybe you can turn them in and get some cool mods to slot in right away. So
yeah, you can get some of the new mods, which is cool, but you just won't be able to get any enhanced mods, because those are going to specifically come from Pinnacle activities, which I really like, by the way. I think that's really cool that there's Pinnacle activities that we want to do for power, but also to try and get those enhanced mods. Overall, I'm so excited about
the
all
mods
of it, because
aren't
there's just
consumable
so much to do.
either. Once you have it, you can
use
put
it
it
over
on
and
multiple
over,
pieces of armor.
I love
That's
that.
the best part. Dude, the amount of times I've looked at a gun and I'm like, I want to try a different mod, but I've got 2 of these backup mods, or I've got 2 of these Icarus mods, and I just hoard items, because it's like, the mod is honestly more valuable than the gun sometimes for me.
And for me, I and on the fashion end of things, they haven't talked about shaders, but it looked like we could just, once you unlock the shader, you have it. And you can just apply it to things. It appeared that way to me, and I'm because I didn't see a number. Did we see a number? You did see a number. Damn it. Okay. I think we saw a number on the shader, because when he was when the Titan was shading his armor, he had a 10 next to his armor piece, or a shader piece. So I was hoping that it would be a similar scenario where we would unlock, once we unlock the cool shader, we could apply it. But I got so sick and tired of having that fill up my inventory that I literally just deleted everything. I got so frustrated with shaders that I went through and I deleted every single shader, even the ones that I had like 8,000 of, that I thought I would never sit there and delete it. I just dedicated an evening and just sat there deleting for like 3 hours, and I got through all of them, and I decided from here on out I will never put another shader on another piece of armor until that system is different. And now as soon as I see a shader, I delete it. I just can't. I just couldn't stand it. It was pissing me off too much. But
it takes up a lot of your space.
yeah, I mean, and it was just obnoxious, and so I hope they choose a different system. It's kind of like those mods where once you've unlocked it, you unlock it, and there's maybe some currency behind applying it. But
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the glimmer cap's going up to 250,000 too.
Hey.
Yes, it is.
And everything's going to cost 20% more. Fuck.
Right.
It's
No effect at all because everything costs 25% more or 2.5 times more.
Yeah. That's true. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I've been trying to spend and buy a bunch of raid banners lately. Every time I get filled up, and now I can just buy more raid banners with the 250k.
Yeah.
Just so something from the TWAB. I know it is from the TWAB, but I think it's related to the fashion. Is that now with us getting a more fashionable Destiny, there's going to be a new emblem that they do.
I want
So
that emblem too.
It looks
That's
so
good.
good. The emblem
Once
looks
a month.
beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go to this week's TWAB and check it out. It's going to be once a month, kind of like a fashion show that they do. If you end up making the most fashionable Guardian, you get this in-game emblem to show that.
You get to submit it once a month. They pick it, and man, I'm excited because I'm really feel bad for the hunters and warlocks because I know the Titans are just going to kill it so much every month.
No, Titans are the ugliest.
No, we got.
If you're big into like 80s shoulder pads, Titans are your.
I know.
They are
I
the
tried to
truth.
say it with a straight face. We're gonna lose every month. This is ridiculous. You know how good hunters and warlocks look? It's just they got the best looking gear. It pisses me off.
I'll say one thing though. It's going to be the first time I've ever used any Eververse gear. Like I've unlocked a bunch. I've gotten a ton of it, and I've never equipped it because it can never have the enhanced perks.
Yeah.
And so it's actually going to be kind of nice to make my character not look like I have the ugliest Titan. People every time I pull it up, they're like, "What is that ugly thing?" And they tell me to just turn off the stream and just get the hell out of here because it's so gross. I've got like things coming off here, different colors. I got browns and greens, but it's the stats. I got the stats,
baby.
and now I can mix and match them.
So one of the things that came up now that we're kind of talking, we're kind of picking our way through this, but one of the exciting things, and I think we've brought this up on the podcast many times when we had so few armor pieces in past versions of Destiny, the ability to apply an armor mod. So is this kind of their version of transmog? Like, just putting
it's sort of transmog. It's not full transmog, but it is a type transmog.
So you got this piece of armor you really like, but it's fugly, right? And you drop down and you go, I'm gonna try a different skin on it, and you can put together that good looking. What I'm curious about is what helmets, for example, are arms are going to transfer over as ornaments. What skins are going to come over? Just Eververse ones?
Yeah. Because
I thought I saw in his list there was there was seasonal also.
I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in more ornaments for you to purchase for transmog stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a thing. But yeah, it's at the moment all of our Eververse stuff is just going to be an ornament for us to put on.
I'd love for them to go back to some, and I know this is just Briar's going to immediately roll his eyes. I can't wait. I would like for them to bring back like classic, maybe year one Destiny ornaments, like the vault of glass.
You know what we need in this game is a little bit of a nostalgic throwback to Destiny 1. Because remember those days? I mean,
not enough of that. I hope they do more than just the Eververse stuff. I hope they go back and they get like fan favorite stuff and bring it in and make it available.
I wouldn't mind some of the hunter cloaks. All the hunter cloaks in Destiny 2 are pretty bad comparison. Like there were some unbelievably good ones for Destiny 1. Where is that? Bring it in. I want to look sexy.
Well,
Yep.
we're not going to
Those
get trials gear.
No.
We will.
Are we even gonna get trials like at this point?
We will. Yes.
Maybe. But they specifically said that trials wasn't going to be considered. Wasn't going to be one of the ornament slots.
Yeah.
Oh, because if you want to look like a trials player, you got to win trials and have that trials gear.
Well,
equipped.
I did
Or what?
win trials once. Okay, and I have the gear to prove it. I just can't wear it.
Right.
I mean, look at my gear, bro. It's like
I'm friends. I'm in a clan with somebody who won trials
Yeah,
once.
dude. If I really want to go flawless, I have people I can call. I just don't do it because they're busy, all the time.
That's definitely why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would.
Yeah.
You are going to be able to get the Crucible gear or the Crucible ornaments, which I did. I actually like that system, so I'm glad that like those things are coming forward, and the Vanguard ornaments are coming too.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, maybe it's a time issue, but I would eventually like to see all the armor in our collections be added to that list of ornament drops. Like I in my mind, yeah, I do. I really
No,
think that's
my guess is that they can't do it because of engine limitations more than anything. Because that's a lot of
Yeah.
ornaments to show up on one UI screen when you're just on every piece of armor. I would guess it's some type of.
Oh, I guess I could clarify my thought process. So armor pieces had like regional like armor so there would be a set armor piece for that you would have to go and get for each activity type, right? Or each planet. And then once you got that armor core, you would get the armor ornaments and if you unlock them, you would get the armor ornaments from all the different planets on that planetary armor core set. So if you're looking at your collections, they're kind of broken down into these categories, right? And then you would then go out, because right now it's sort of breaks down by element. I thought that a further breakdown of it could be by like type of armor cores. And you would go say like a PvP armor core would then, as you further played the game, you would expand and build on these ornaments from that armor core. And then, if you're a big PvE player, you have all these selections of those types, and then it kind of just broke it down that way. I hope that they offer more variety than what we saw, and it's not just Eververse, because that would kind of bug me.
Yeah.
You're lost? What? Just say that you're lost. Explain it. Ask a question.
I didn't understand anything that was said. Moving on. Let's get.
No, what do you mean? Like, so right now they're offering basically you have an armor piece, and then you can apply an ornament to it. They're saying that there's limited versions of those ornaments you can put on that armor piece. I'm saying, why don't you offer diversification and say if it's that armor piece is from the planetary set, then you should be able to get ornaments from those planetary sets of armor and apply it to that.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I see.
All right, whatever.
So
We're
like,
getting
if you
some
had
change.
if you had like a raid arm piece, you could use any of the raid aesthetics on that
Correct.
piece. Okay,
Correct.
yeah.
We're getting
And it
some
didn't-
changes to supers and subclasses too. They teased the Titan bubble is getting weapons of light back by default. So every time you pop a Titan bubble, you're going to automatically get that. And the Hunter Void subclass is getting a rework.
Yeah, bottom tree, which is literally might as well not be in the game. Might as well just have a big old X over it, because people only use it when they don't know what they're doing. Because they're like, oh, I get to shoot 1,000,000 arrows that are void. That's cool. And then you realize it's not so cool. But so the bottom tree Night Stalker, it got its damage increased, its tethered damage increased, which is very interesting. Also, when you throw down the smoke that makes everyone go invisible, it now gives your team what's it called?
Invisibility.
No,
It does.
the buff. What's the buff called? Chat will tell me. Anyway, it gives your team a buff. Now, normally what it does right now is you have to give Heart of the Pack. Thank you. Now I can continue. So it gives Heart of the Pack buff, and Heart of the Pack buff is a buff that gives you weapon haste. So I assume that that's like weapon reloading, weapon swapping, and it also increases your resilience, recovery, and mobility, which is very cool. And they also made it to where your grenade, every time you throw a grenade down and it ticks to do damage, it will lower the cooldown of your melee. So if you're playing it correctly, you can essentially have the Heart of the Pack buff on your team as much as you want to.
That's sweet.
Just as much as you want, which is really interesting because it is more of a kind of support build for hunters, which is very cool. And if they do actually end up reducing all of these auto loading perks like Lunafactions and all of that stuff, which they have talked about that they want to deal with that, then Heart of the Pack might actually be pretty cool if it is you reloading faster, because you might actually need that because you're not going to have auto loading perks anymore. So yeah, I'm glad that they gave it some love because currently it does literally nothing, but being able to buff your entire team with a bunch of stuff is going to be fun.
It looked like a really fun build, and on the video they showed Tomo like bringing his lazy warlock fire team member and making her invis, and her arc buddy was still firing and not
Arc
breaking
buddy
her
does
out
not
of her
break
invis.
Yes.
I thought that was a really cool addition. It just looked fun.
Question?
Tash? Yes, sir.
Yes.
I meant maybe chat knows this. I saw that there was a mention that things that break ammo economy can really impact the game. And like Whisper the Worm, one of the things that was an issue with it is reloading is taken out of the equation, and that's a very, very big thing to take out of the equation. Do you think that they're going to take away like Lunafaction boots reload or Rallying Barricade reload to force us to reload more? If they're adding a new perk to help reload,
Yeah.
you know, like I wonder if they're going to start moving away from those auto reloading things so that you actually have to, reload your weapons.
I think yes.
And the reason I say that is because if they're rebalancing buffs and debuffs, they need to make them all work together so that if you want to make a coordinated team with 5 different buffs, you can get the value. Because right now you can go and tractor cannon someone, and then someone can go run in with the melting point or whatever, and it cancels the first one. And then someone shoots a bow and it cancels that one.
Yeah.
And then someone will tractor cannon, and they all cancel. And then another thing, they have a Well of Radiance. Someone's in the Well of Radiance, popping in and out, getting that extra damage. Well, what about the Luna faction? Or not the Luna faction, the Lumina or Lumina. You buff them, and if they go into the well, it cancels their Lumina buff. And so it's like, well, why would you ever use the Lumina? There's no point other than the people that aren't in the well. And there's all those interactions. And I'm wondering if they're going to make all these buffs stack and we can auto reload, we're going to melt stuff. So they either have to bring up the health bars of these bosses like crazy, or they have to at least make us interact with these reload mechanics or something.
Yeah.
Like, there's either going to be a huge buff to the boss health or a reduction in our ability to reload, or I guess just constantly fire and do DPS.
Because that's the thing, right? It's not even like we're just reloading faster. We're just not reloading. We just don't have to reload at all. So even if they made it to where like
have supers.
Yeah, so even if they made it to where barricade, I mean, they might change it completely and make it like give you more armor or give you an overshield when you're behind it or something, which would be cool. But even if they could just make it to where it just makes you reload super duper fast, just so you are having to do some type of reload. Because when you're just standing there, standing in one spot, shooting at a boss, never having to reload, increase buff to damage, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be we need the game to be more challenging, and not having to reload in a shooter is a bit weird.
Watts, why do you think they chose to bring out the Bubble Titan? First of all, the Bubble Titan's back. He's getting weapons of light, right? We're back to having a, that's one of the things I tweeted out like almost immediately is bubble tether murder. That's that combo of using weapons of light. I think you came up with that. That was hilarious. Was that the Gorgons?
It was the Gorgons. Yep. That's great.
So kind of I feel like that bubble becomes the opposite of the antithesis of what Luke was talking about, though, as far as like stationary, character requirement classes. I wonder for them to release, what does that tell us about their changes to the character builds if they're putting out the bubble again, right? It has to be in synergy to what they're talking about. So how does the Weapons of Light bubble now becoming a thing
Well,
go to
I
what he
read
was
that and I
talking
was
about?
like, that's weird because it seems like it's in contradiction to what Luke Smith
Right.
put in the director's cut.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
He talked about specifically with the Reckoning, how they built that bridge encounter with the knowledge that Warlock's Well of Radiance exists and that you can't kill anybody anymore. Like they had to do things that they don't like doing in Destiny. They had to spawn enemies behind you. They had to spawn a ton of snipers around because it's just so hard to kill Guardians because of Well of Radiance. But what that encounter also did is that if you don't happen to have a Warlock in your match-made team, that encounter is rough because without Well of Radiance, you're getting attacked from all sides all the time.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
They pigeonholed you into having to have. I think the sandbox is going to have a big change there with the debuffs, the buffs, the way those things interact. It has to be because if they don't, what changes? Everyone's just going to still jump in a well, or now they'll use the Weapons of Light and the well, or it was some variation of that, and so. They're either going to have to do this crazy thing where you can have 5 buffs on you and 4 debuffs on the enemy, but there's more health, or they're going to have to, change the health bars of the bosses, or they're going to have to change the reload mechanics, or I don't know. It can't stay the same because if they're just giving us another tool to murder stuff, then, we'll murder it in half a phase instead of one phase like we.
Right. Like if you look back at the raid, even with what was the mode that they put on the raid this time? What was that called? The contest.
Challenge? Contest? Yeah.
Like even with contest, people like within that 24-hour period were just wasting that end boss. Once you learn the mechanic of that final encounter, it wasn't a problem killing him, right? Because we're so powerful as Guardians.
We are very powerful.
And that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, everything gets too easy and the game gets boring.
Yeah, exactly. You have to end up, like Tash said, you have to end up putting a bunch of health on a boss, which isn't exciting. If you could make a boss with less health but insane mechanics, that's going to be more fun and entertaining for us to play. And I'm really interested about tomorrow's post, actually, by Luke, because it seems like they're changing basically everything. They're going to be talking a lot of numbers. They're changing the way buffs and debuffs work together. They're changing like these auto-loading perks. They're changing a lot of stuff. So currently, we can kind of talk about how we feel about the new armor system and all of these new mods and all this stuff, but we don't actually know how any of this is going to work until we know about all these sandbox changes, because it actually seems like the sandbox changes are going to be pretty crazy.
It's going to be interesting, and I know I stepped away. I apologize, but I'm curious if the interaction between the way that the new sandbox and supers are going to be working and exotics. And I know we talked about that with a couple different other class exotics, but for specifically what came to mind was the bubble, and it has Weapons of Light. Are we going to get Armor of Light from the Helm of Saint 14 if we drop that bubble? I want to know if they're going to work in synergy together, because if that happens and I can drop a weapons and armor bubble for my teammates, I mean, that's going to be huge.
I always I like the way the bubble works better than the Well of Radiance, because when you're in the bubble, like there's the danger of shooting out of the bubble. There's like some things go through it, some things don't. Like the Well of Radiance, you can just stand there and blast away
and never die.
Never die.
And and the thing is, I want to say there's going to be a change to Rally Barricade and Lunafaction boots. I just have this like a gut feeling that they want to stop circumventing reloading.
Yeah, you're right.
I think you're right. To add it back in the game. And so, Well of Radiance, whether you only get the Well of Radiance attack buff or the Weapons Light, like maybe they never can stack or whatever, but it gives you an area to heal and it gives you an area to reload. And it gives you, like there's going to be some cool interactions there that I want to see. And that was a really good point, Pope, that if they do change those things, some of the exotics might have to change. Because if you take away the reloading thing from Lunafactions, well, then it has to do something like bring up the healing or bring up the damage or do something of value.
Maybe it could make a warlock jump like a real boy.
Jump like it gets a double jump.
Is that a hey? Wait. If there's a warlock mod on some pants, right, that makes you able to jump like a real jump, like a Titan or something, man, I'd be
like a Titan. Wait, I'm a Titan main.
But I think it's interesting, and I'm really excited. Watts, your point is exactly right. Like tomorrow is going to be a lot of new information, and it's going to be interesting to hear what Luke has to say.
Tomorrow.
I think that a lot of this, usually it's been my experience that when I'm disciplining a student, for example, I'm giving them some bad news. I give them the long form example of all the reasons why I prep them for the bad news. And I feel like these director cuts, they smack a lot about like why I'm going to be sending a student home for the next 2 days, suspending them, you know, like, so you understand that poking eyes out is bad. And, you know, and you break it down and you give them the reasoning why. And then when you say, so now I'm sending you home for 2 days. So in this
Seems
case,
reasonable.
I feel like,
an eye for 2 days.
right.
Just
bad examples, but nevertheless, really bad examples. I'm calling the police. No,
maybe you can only see in mono for the rest of your life. But hey, I missed 2 days of school, and I'm pretty upset about it.
Obviously, bad examples. But my point is I feel like these long form director's cuts are setting us up for the hard parental lecture we're about to get tomorrow from Luke, where the bad news that, you know, I'm sorry, family, our budgets, I didn't get the bonus I wanted at work. We're not going to Disneyland. You know, we're about to get the hard news tomorrow.
I get that. Okay, I get that, but at the same time, there has been like some really good news too, and so I don't know. What are they going to say that's gonna cripple this community and send everyone into a tilt?
They're going to mention PvP,
we're
and it's not going to be good enough.
We're nerfing your ability to one phase every raid boss that's ever been made. You know, like, is that bad news? And like, I know the community has this the community. I'm telling you, I'm gonna call you out. Never nerf, only buff. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's a thing called power creep. We hit it. We did it.
We hit it hard, yeah.
Oh, we hit it real hard.
We have gotten to the point that it is creeped beyond repair, and so now they have to wrangle it in, and they have to restructure how the game works because
we're power creepy.
We literally can murder every raid boss. We can murder Riven, the giant dragon. That fight was so brilliant. Jumping down, shooting the eyes, shooting the projectiles that were coming out, calling out. We're standing on plates, and now it's like we're in a rift. Come on, like I want.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
You know?
Yeah. You know, I liked
absolutely
in Destiny 1 raids, especially the early raids, I liked that I felt like I was constantly fighting for my life. I didn't want to die and let my team down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like that in raids anymore. I feel like we just have to get these mechanics down and tell Frankie 2 times where to put his tether, and we're good to go.
Or where to put his well, as we
yeah.
As long as Frankie 2 times puts the well in the right place, he's peasy. No worries at all.
It is definitely a point where you are going to need to be challenged again, and I really hope there's a couple comments that came in from people that Luke keeps mentioning T for teen, you know, and you see him in his writings, and I think he's a very purposeful person, and I'm wondering if we're going to see a darker side. And I know this is kind of talking about lore a little bit, but we're going to see a darker side of Destiny. And I think we're going to be challenged. And I'm wondering if we're entering into a Destiny Dark Souls era where encounters are going to be harder, maybe not Dark Souls level, but you know, they're going to be challenging. And, you know, you're gonna have to, and it's gonna be a little scary, you know. Maybe we're gonna get to your.
I like spooky Destiny.
Yeah,
I'm
spooky
fond of
Destiny.
that. Is Destiny a game about collecting? Like, is this Neopets? We're playing for some Neo points and buying it. Like the thing is how good does it feel to stand in a well? Let's say you've never raided before, ever. If you go in and do most of these encounters, you can avoid almost every mechanic and instantly kill the boss. Even if you're not doing damage, someone on your team has mountaintop and is just murdering this boss, doing 4 million DPS, or Glad jumps in and melees the boss to death. Right? And it's like, do you feel accomplished finishing that raid and you got some raid gear from it? Like, is that really that satisfying? I want to feel like I'm doing activities that actually have some merit behind them and some cool rewards. And I'm getting heated here, guys. I'm ready for the change. I'm so sick. Too. I'm so sick of how the game's been playing out lately. I'm loving it. Honestly, this is the most fun I've been having, and I'm still sick of it. Because it's missing that oomph to make this game as good as it could possibly be. I think this is a great opportunity to adjust things and make it feel like the game I've been waiting for.
Well, let me offer a counterpoint to that, Tash. I think that bullets hitting where your reticle is in PvP makes the game too easy. So I'm
How do you mute somebody on Discord?
I think they should expand RNG bullets and bloom, and that makes it more competitive for you guys.
Watts, can you hang up on Pope?
I can. Yeah,
explodes. I mean, that's another thing too, though. They came out and said multiple times that they changed the sandbox to make it easier. In-air accuracy was changed because it's too hard to shoot people floating above you. Yeah, it's supposed to be. They're making an aggressive flank maneuver, a cool maneuver. It should be harder to shoot them when they're in the air. And you shouldn't neuter people for being good at the game. And you shouldn't add randomizations so, you know, Fran can get a kill in PvP. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, easy.
I would love to see them.
I agree, though.
Back to their roots.
You got a white glove coming your way, my friend.
You're gonna get a white glove in the mail, and you're not gonna know what to do.
Oh God, I'm done. No, I would love
but
to
it's really going to be interesting to see what do you think they're going to talk about? Just put on your spinfoil hat,
tomorrow.
Guys. I mean, for tomorrow, yeah. PvP.
Well, we know. So, what do we know? We know what's being talked about in terms of they're going to mention the Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hear about a bunch of numbers in terms of buffs and debuffs and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
In terms of Crucible, I think it's going to be something that's not huge because I think, like they specifically said, they're having a Shadowkeep Crucible reveal happening. So I think if they're going to do anything big and crazy hype, it would be during that. This is kind of just a mention of the Crucible. But it has to be something that's good enough to mention it, or you might as well not mention it at all after not supporting it for a year. So I would guess they did say before that they wanted to change the way playlists work. So I wouldn't be surprised if they announced that they're making it to where you can pick Control, Clash, Rumble separately again. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a thing. Maybe some new modes, some new maps. Maybe talking about how supers are going to be adjusted and heavy ammo being adjusted. I think all of those things are reasonable to hear about tomorrow. They're not like, oh my God, super crazy, awesome, crazy changes. But it's still a change that's like, okay, well, this is things that I like to hear.
I think they're going to announce that PvP was a failed experiment in Destiny, and they're cutting it out altogether.
I wouldn't cry if they doubled down on all the PvE.
What? Hang up.
Well, it's been in such a bad state for so long. Like a Striker Titan should not last for 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, shut your mouth.
You know what I'm saying?
You're lucky you live in Canada and I'm all the way down here.
Like, I don't know. I just hope with the new stuff, they can update it faster. Like I think we can tell within a month or 4 days that the Striker Titan is broken.
Yeah.
And it's just such a shame with some of the stuff. I know that you can't overhaul a sandbox and they do need data. But I don't know. I hate getting into the dev talks where it's like, it's easy to change that. but there must be some things. Like the duration, can they not go in the code and just be like, duration of super is 14 seconds, not 45 seconds, you know, like just little hotfix integer stuff, not crazy sweeping changes. I don't want to change the ballistics of a weapon. Just wrangle that in after a month or a month and a half, not 4 months, not 6 months.
Yeah. If that's not possible, then like, why don't we work toward making it possible? Like,
yes,
if it's the code that,
please,
if it's the code that makes it so hard, well, why don't we try and work to a point where we can make those micro adjustments on the fly?
Or just disable bottom tree striker until it's possible to do this.
Let's just
Shut
remove
your mouth
from the game.
just code, forehead. Like, come on, like figure it out. I know, and I hate that because like I don't know what goes in. I thought before they mentioned like we can update things much faster, and I understand that if you take all your time balancing the game, you're not making new content. But there's going to be a little bit of progress here. Because when was the last meaningful sandbox update? Was it the Arc super changes?
Yeah.
I think so.
I can't even remember when that was. That's how long ago. Like was I 13 back then when it happened? It feels like I was an infant.
Well,
It
no,
was
it was a little later than last week.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if for PvP, any PvP game, like it's fun. It makes the game feel fresh when they're constantly changing the meta, right? It doesn't actually matter that much what changes you make, as long as you make them frequently enough that when we figure out the meta, it gets changed again, right? So you constantly feel like you're learning. You constantly feel like you're getting something new. And it'd be nice if Destiny could just switch it up a little more often. So things like Bottom Tree Striker don't go on for a year.
Even Fortnite. Like, Fortnite adds these crazy things. Like, they have the mech in the game. And I feel like Bottom Tree Striker is the mech that they added to Fortnite in Destiny. And it's like this annoying thing. Everyone complains about it. But instead of being changed after 2 months and it gets vaulted, or 2.5 months and it gets vaulted, it's like 6 months. And it goes from being an annoying thing that some people kind of complain about to a resentment thing. And I think that's actually one of the biggest issues with PvP that this game has had is there's a problem. People notice it. They continue to notice it. They continue to notice it. It still hasn't changed. They start complaining even harder. And then it gets to this point where it's like, F Bungie. They explode. They get so angry with it because it hasn't changed that it escalates, even though it's like, yeah, Striker's not balanced. We probably shouldn't be raging this much.
I will say
it becomes this like grinding thing in your tooth that all of a sudden you want to rip your tooth out. You know?
I will say though, when they come out and they say, look, we understand that this is a problem right now. Lord of Wolves is a problem right now. It's not getting fixed this week, but it's in this next patch that's coming out in like a month. You know, we didn't want to make everybody sleep here to get it done. That fixed it for me. Like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, you know, you're aware of it. You're fixing it. We're on a path to, you know, we're on a path to improvement. Awesome. Like, just hey, shout it out. Let me know you're working on it. Yeah, and we are good. I am anyway. Not everybody's going to agree with that statement, I'm sure. But.
Right. That's why I would really like a kind of dev diary that happens, you know, maybe once a month where they just communicate with us. These are the things that we know you guys are telling us you don't like right now. These are the things we're looking into. And then the next one, they could say, okay, we've realized that this thing is definitely too hot. We're going to be balancing it in, you know, estimated time frame. Just communication really does help because it makes it feel like the community isn't just yelling at a brick wall. They actually feel like they're being listened to, and it lets us know that Bungie is aware of that. And we know Bungie's aware of it. They're aware of more stuff that's wrong in this game than we are. But we just don't get any of that communication for stuff like that. Yeah. We really need that.
And don't get me wrong, like I sound like I've been ranting for like 30 minutes, but the game is in a great state. It's continuing to improve. They've added amazing loot and menagerie and this and that, and like they've added awesome stuff. I quit for months because I was, you know, there wasn't much to do. I wasn't enjoying the game, and I'm back playing more probably now than I played in Destiny 1. There's things for me to, you know, get and hunt for, and I'm trying to still play catch up on some items, and it's in a good state. And so I commend Bungie for doing that. and the stuff that I've seen, piqued or piquing my interest in Shadowkeep, it looks really, really good. And if they can nail it, like, hell yes, they deserve to be commended for it. So I don't want to completely crucify them and act like they're these bad guys, because not at all. There's a super that's sucking, but I'll deal with that because of all the the improvements that are coming. So
Shadowkeep looks like it's going to be pretty. What excites me most about Shadowkeep is that it feels like it's going to be a big change to the game, and like a lot of the systems are going to feel fresh and new, and there's going to be learning to be done, and like that is exciting to me.
Yeah,
and it's and we're going to get to do it with more of our friends next week, guys.
Yeah,
next week.
Yeah, I'm not doing it next week.
First?
Fuck that. You guys do it. You tell me how it goes. If it goes great for you, the week after that, I'll slide on in there.
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, we're talking about Cross Save. Is going live next week. What day? It's like,
August 21st.
August
21st. Yep.
So on the 21st, you can now play with other people in the game of Destiny on other platforms that you may have been on. But the opportunity to play endgame content, the DLC content, you won't be able to access without purchasing Forsaken, at least until the change happens. In September, when the new version of Destiny that's launching?
It's October 1st that New Light's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So New Light is basically going to give you the ability to be able to play a bunch of stuff for free, so you won't need to buy anything. But obviously, New Light is not a thing that is going to be out when Cross Save initially launches.
A little bit of time, yeah.
So yeah, you will have
used
to
the game,
purchase.
Jump in, try things out.
You
get used to mouse and keyboard. Some people have never played on mouse and keyboard, and I know that can be really daunting. But I'll tell you, if you've never done it and you're curious, it is probably one of the most satisfying things too. When you learn it and you start landing your shots with the mouse, it's really, really nice. And
when I first learned, it felt like I was almost an athletic thing. Like I felt like, ooh, wow, like I move fast. And like it was crazy,
I'm telling you, it made games more enjoyable. It made PvE, oddly enough. And that's where I practiced at the start, because I was terrible. I mean, I've been a console player my whole life. The only game that I've ever played with a mouse and keyboard other than this, or the two games, was PUBG and Fortnite for a bit. And so even when I, bought other games like Skyrim, I just used a controller because I wasn't used to controlling and stuff. It felt terrible to me. And
that being said, though, you can still be very successful playing Destiny 2 on PC with a controller. Like,
that's what
it's great, actually.
Don't let anyone shame you into using mouse keyboard games. Okay?
Oh yeah.
If you want to use a controller, it feels really great, works really well. Learning mouse and keyboard is extremely fun. Like you said, there's just a whole different range of movement that goes with mouse and keyboard. Obviously, controller has a different type of thing as well. They're just different. They play differently. So even if you don't want to, maybe you want to continue using a controller, try out mouse and keyboard, because it's nice to experience this almost new game using keyboard and mouse in Destiny.
Watts, what's also exciting about cross save, and I went and got an Xbox. So that means that I get to join the high seas with you guys on our next pirate adventures. I'm excited.
We're over that, Pope.
Really?
Yeah, we did it for.
You guys were just talking about it the other day in the chat, though. Like you were saying, "Oh, let's do it again."
I didn't know you were in that chat.
Yeah. So you're not doing.
We're also
anymore.
a little full.
No.
I mean, I guess we could always replace you with Fran, as long as you're okay with us making your life hell for the entire.
Yeah, so you don't have room for me then. Like I might have to watch the stream instead.
Might have to just watch.
This is awkward.
Yeah.
Or we might just never do it again. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you guys aren't doing it again, I understand. So maybe I'll find some other people to play with. It's great.
I'm not playing with you. Is that what you were hinting at? There's no chance.
No, I guess I'll just play solo.
Is there anything else we want to talk about before we do Twitter questions?
Oh man, there's just so much. I don't even know where it starts or where it ends, to be honest. I don't know when we're done finished talking about stuff.
Well, maybe chat will know the things we missed.
Yeah. Did we miss anything?
It's hard to like there's probably 200 freaking things in here, and then another 200 tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I can't even keep up. I can't keep up with all the knowledge.
Too much knowledge. I didn't write notes. Fortunately.
I felt like I was reading I was peeking into the mind of Luke Smith, and it goes back to the point where I feel like if people didn't understand all the internal chaos or conflicts that happen within a studio to produce a game, this is kind of like a small peek behind the curtain of the difficult decisions that are made or have to be made in making a game. It's from a game.
The first one,
especially,
right?
It's beautiful.
The first one where they were talking about the what is that tab called that they moved? The Pursuits tab.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's like this kind of like part where, like, I guess you walked in where the pursuit changes happen, like into that office space, and the guys who were in charge of the Pursuits tab were like, "Have you read Reddit today?" And it's not looking good because I guess the reaction to the Pursuits tab was negative.
Right.
And they're changing.
They are changing it, yeah.
Right, and it looks pretty good. They're gonna have the bounties, and they're gonna have the quests, and because I mean, even right now, like if you have a couple random bounties, sometimes they complete and they're still lower down, and you're scrolling through there. It isn't very nice. So even that little change will go a long way, and I mean,
it's an evolving game, and it keeps getting better.
There's a lot of quality of life changes like that I feel are, and it goes to the point that we talked about earlier. I feel like Destiny's gonna feel like a newer game, like a new game. And,
they're changing a lot. It's I know that we were kind of expecting like a Rise of Iron size DLC edition, which in terms of content, maybe that's the case, but we're getting a lot of core systems that are completely changing. Which is like you said, right? It's gonna feel like you're jumping into a whole different game. You're gonna be learning a whole bunch of new stuff, new ways.
It's probably Taken King or Forsaken quality of life changes or system changes.
Yeah,
if not potentially more.
Yeah,
like absolutely. Rise of Iron, or sorry, Forsaken was huge, but like really all they did was add quests and they added the new supers, and we've seen that before. But like now they're overhauling the armor system, and they're overhauling this and that and this and this, and it dynamically changes the way you play other than a super. And it's kind of how the Taken King, like they changed the entire quest system in Taken King. And so these systemic changes and how you interact with your Guardian, I think that even though, there might not be 50 new missions and there might not be 4 new raids, but they have added a lot for you to dive into and enjoy. And, there's going to be some times where you're just sitting in your menus figuring stuff out because it's new content to interact with.
Well, you mentioned it before, MTashed, is, you play Destiny till you do like the raid, and then you don't care about power level anymore. Like, I feel like that change alone could hold my interest in this game more than previous DLCs, where I am totally that player. I don't give a shit about power level as soon as we beat the raid.
No,
like, it just doesn't matter. Yeah. But
so
now
they can fix that. Like,
yeah, that would be huge.
Well, another burning question that we haven't thought about or haven't talked about. Do you think Shadowkeep is going to give us a new music, new audio, new soundtrack for the game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't they do that with every DLC?
Well, I mean, I hope so.
I hope there's
I don't think they're going to do it.
Screaming thrall in my ear.
Against all evidence, I say no.
Thank you.
You know what? I hope it's a death metal thrall group that does the soundtrack. Right.
Yes.
And then we walk into a lost sector.
Into the cameo. Hell yeah.
We walk into the lost sector, and it's actually like a death metal club of thrall.
I hope they use all copyrighted music from Metallica.
Oh man, I like it's such a big part of my when I'm the load screen on a PlayStation 4 when you're loading up Destiny is long.
Yeah,
like
are you still on like a PlayStation 4
the
base?
OG one? Yeah. So and it's not even with the SD card. So you're sitting there. I load it. go make dinner, go take a shower, get changed. And by the time I come back, it's getting to the character selection screen. So then I hit it, and then I go do other stuff, and then it loads in, and then I go to the tower, and then it's about 15 to 20 minutes by the time I'm in the tower.
Wasn't
We
there
have
a
to get you
comment
an
in-
SSD. Oh,
wasn't there a comment in one of the director's cuts where like part of the reason they have to take some stuff out is just because it's getting so big on hard drives that like PlayStations and Xboxes are just going to be able to be just Destiny machines, right? Where it takes up the entire hard drive.
There was also somebody talking about the size of Shadowkeep.
That's what I'm
Did
saying,
you
like in
guys-
gigabytes, right? Oh, you're talking about the
Shadowkeep
of-
coming up. They're now the DLC. This is gonna be a ginormous. Did you remember reading that? What?
I've seen it. I do remember seeing it.
Yes, there is a. If you could Google it, I think it was PC Gamer that put out the article, or maybe Forbes, but they had somehow found the size of it. We're talking like half your hard drive. If you're like my hard drive, it's gonna be huge.
Oh, the size of the download.
165
The
gigabytes
download.
for total. For the total, the new thing
That's
is
what
like
I was
60
talking about.
gigabytes.
Yeah, that's a significant amount. If you own a 500 gigabyte PlayStation, that's a lot of your hard drive.
I have to delete some stuff. I have to do, and I don't play a lot of games besides Destiny. If you play different games, this is going to take a significant.
It's going to
piece
take a
of-
week and a half on the PlayStation Network just to download it. That thing is so
To
slow.
copy it. It's copying.
You got to copy.
Copying takes
Copy.
forever. Even if you have a really amazing internet connection, you download the patch in 30 seconds, and then you're waiting 30 minutes to copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Have you guys ever
It's
installed an
nuts.
SSD into your PlayStation?
No.
No,
I
I've
haven't
heard it's
touched
like
my PlayStation
limited.
in a long time.
Yeah, me neither. I've heard it's.
I'm good at the
limited.
Monster Hunter World. When that
Oh,
comes
yeah,
out,
absolutely.
new stuff.
I might turn around and buy a new PlayStation 4 for this.
God, that's a hard bullet to bite with the PlayStation 5, like literally a year away.
I know, but I mean, I've got 3 PlayStation 4s that are all the first generation PlayStation.
If you turned a couple of them in, then probably get a.
Well, I
significant
sold one of
discount.
them to a neighbor kid, and I could
Yeah.
scalp a few more. It's good.
Are you
I'll be
guys
able to buy one.
happy with the shift back 2 weeks for Shadowkeep?
Yes.
That was a positive thing for most people?
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
I was like literally almost in tears, like so happy.
Yeah.
Like, because they jumped on a call with us, and well, actually, I guess I can't really talk about it. They just kind of asked like thoughts, and everyone was like, yes, like that sounds really good. It makes sense. And the thing that made me really happy was when the community came out and or I guess when they came out to the community and gave the news, it wasn't a rage. Everyone was like, take your time, man. Make the game better. We'll take it. Like if you're gonna fix bugs, go for it. And
This particular circumstance,
great.
they had Borderlands 3, like just staring them in the face. Like
mhm.
if they make that decision, I think it was the right decision, Borderlands 3 or not. Don't get me wrong, but they make that call when Borderlands 3 isn't like nearly the same day, and I think they get more flack for it. I think that
Well-
flack is not warranted or justified, but
What day is TwitchCon? Isn't TwitchCon in there too? So now they've avoided that.
I think they're just after
So-
TwitchCon now, like
so
by
all
a few
the
days.
people that would be at TwitchCon can now stream the game.
I mean, it makes
You
sense.
know, like,
it makes
There's a lot
sense
of
on so
things
many
that line
levels.
up there
Yeah.
for viewership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe they literally just wanted to delay it. But that's very convenient and very helpful for them to push it back a little bit. And even me, like I want to play Borderlands. I want to cover Borderlands, but I just want to play the game. And I know that I couldn't have played it the way I want to play it because I've been waiting for like 8 years for this game or whatever it is. Like I want to just spend 2 weeks and grind out in Borderlands. And knowing the Destiny with this huge expansion is coming, business-wise, I can't do that. I have to do the Destiny stuff.
For you,
And-
who
then it
who
makes the
makes
game more
videos
of a
and
job,
content
too.
about it, for the average player though, who's like mid Borderlands grind and Destiny 2 comes out, like, I can totally
they'll
see
just chill.
them being like, I'll just hold off on Destiny 2 for a bit because I'm like
Mhm.
right in the middle of Borderlands 3, and that's just because Borderlands 3 came out before. It's not has nothing to do with the quality of either title. So I can totally
Yeah.
see like
It's a me issue.
Borderlands
It's
a little room to
100%
breathe here.
a me issue. But it also,
Yeah.
you know, for me personally, it's like a resentment thing. It's like, I want to be playing that other game, but I have to play Destiny. And all of a sudden it goes from this fun game that I'm really excited about to, well, it's a job. And I know it's my job. I'm lucky it's my job. But being able to kick back and play some different stuff before an expansion, that is so exciting.
This September is stacked.
It's busy. It is so
usually
busy.
September is kind of like
Banger
a
after
ramp
banger.
up to October and November, but this one is crazy.
September is crazy. It's gonna
And
be.
then there's Call of
good
Duty
time.
in October too, like a Shadowkeep and then the new COD, which looks pretty cool. So it's gonna be a very cool spring or fall season.
Have you seen that new 2v2 mode in COD?
No,
That looks super fun.
I'll have to look it up. I'll Google it after this.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
You want to get into
Twitter
questions?
Yeah.
Twitter questions.
All right. Dredgen OP Titan says, why does this community care about what someone is wearing on stream more than the stream content? I mostly care about what you're not wearing.
So does Twitch.
Do you want to explain where this question comes from, Briar?
Yeah.
Just
so
in case anyone doesn't know.
one of the devs for Destiny was kind of cosplaying like a lazy warlock in like robe and slippers.
Which
Right?
can I just say, I thought that it was actually really cool that it was about
thought it was
creating the character the way you want to play, and she was like, "I'm feeling like a lazy warlock." Like it made
Yeah.
sense with the build that she was making. I thought that.
I think it didn't make sense to people that didn't get what she was saying. I think there's people that didn't understand that she was cosplaying at that situation, and you can't help everybody on the internet understand.
Pope, these are
what's
the
going-
people I was talking about last week who you shouldn't listen to. Right? Not
There-
everybody.
There was a bunch
deserves
of
an
people
opinion.
that said that her putting her feet up was rude or unprofessional, and then it really frustrated me a lot. I mean, there is a situation where these three devs were all kind of, the Titan was the kind of the dad build. Did you guys notice he was sort of wearing like, and Toma was looking all slick like the hunter, the good looking. He was, yeah. Look at his shoes, man. Just Google
I
his
couldn't look
shoes
away.
alone. I mean, those are he was looking good. He was looking like a snack. But anyway,
Oh boy. Yes, I regret all of this. If he says he's going to be on a stream again, I will tell him he's not allowed to.
yes, he was looking good. Anyway,
Vetoed.
Yeah.
and then there was the lazy warlock, and she must have mentioned it like 4 or 5 times. I don't see how people were confused. She's like, "Oh, we're gonna be, I'm the lazy warlock. I'm wearing, she's wearing a PJs," and she was just playing it out, and she was getting into the role. And I thought
This
that was
is just
really
like
cool.
a little signal that the stupid people are sending up that we now know who they are and we should mute them. Like it was actually they were doing us a favor. Like, hey, I'm an idiot right here.
It's all right. And if you didn't get it, and they could have been more, direct or clear about it, or Deej could have announced that that's what they were doing. But I didn't. I thought it was pretty clear. But if you were confused by that or whatever, I get it. I like that Bungie as a company doesn't feel like Activision. That wasn't an Activision's earning call. That wasn't some, I don't know, like marketing thing. It was
like
a fun, kitschy video game group of nerds making a nerd thing to share what they're making. And maybe nerd humor just doesn't sometimes go through all the way. And anyway, I thought it was awesome. I thought that they could connect with us. Lisa, if you ever want to come on the podcast, you're welcome to put your feet up the entire podcast.
She'd be an amazing guest too.
You're welcome to be on the show, and I would love for you to hang out with us because you seem like one cool chick.
Oh, she was so funny. I was laughing like the entire time that she was talking on the stream. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed her participation.
I love the build that she made, man. Like that was such a classic theme of like lazy warlocks. The whole using it just felt fun and engaging, and I want to see more of that. Bungie, put her on more often.
Yes.
Griffin01 says, why is the well/Luna even an issue? You have to work your ass off to get to the damage phase, where having things like the well help one feel powerful, but it does not allow instant success for the average player. Aren't we contradicting what we said we wanted after Destiny 2 Year 1 debacle?
You see, the well's really cool because you can keep your teammates safe. But the problem is being 100% safe, never having to reload. You don't have to use any cover. You can just stand right out there in the open. You don't have to engage your brain at all. It's it just makes things a bit easy. See, there's a difference between being powerful and us feeling like we are gaining more power as guardians. And with these new builds, I'm hoping that as we unlock more mods and we make this perfect build, that we start to feel more powerful. But there's a difference between feeling powerful and something becoming too easy. It makes things trivial. It makes things safe and not super.
I'll tell you what, and you can leave it exactly how it is, but you have to make me 3 phases. That's the only way you make it work and not feel busted. Because right now you 1 phase every single raid boss.
Yeah.
If
they build an encounter, like if they know that this thing exists, right, and it's super powerful, then you have 2 choices. We can just allow people to use it in 1 phase bosses, or we could build the encounter around it. And now it just takes 1 billion hit points to kill this boss, but then it forces you to have it. Like, so you no longer have any variety in your loadout because you have to have this.
It's a very tough thing to balance, unfortunately. And that's the thing. It is a tough thing to balance. You have to plan your encounter around it. You have to plan the enemy health bars around it. Like the threats that are impacting you. I think that at this point, if they don't fix it, the only way they can add difficulty in the encounter is not necessarily annoying things, but tasks you must complete. You're doing a damage phase, oracles keep spawning, and you have to deal with them or else you wipe. Stuff like that. Because right now, it would be superficial difficulty that they have to add, aka health bars. And a lot of people hate that as well. They hate that. It's like,
it's super boring to just stand in one spot and just put your reticle on something and just hold down the trigger.
Yeah,
like that's
a tough thing.
Boring. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! It's Scoot says with finding out that Eververse helps fund missions like 0 Hour, does it now change your mind about supporting them, or do you now support them more since Bungie is independent again? Thanks for reading my question. You're welcome.
I'm not gonna lie. When I for me to buy silver, it feels a lot less dirty to me. I just, for some reason, the maybe it's the way that Activision has their sort of reputation in the past, and I knew that some percentage, if not most of that, was going to Activision. Or I don't mind so much. I really don't.
I feel better about it, not because Activision not being in the picture. I feel better about it because they took the loot boxes out of the picture, which I feel are predatory. I do not like them at all.
Agreed.
They are designed to trick your brain into spending money like gambling. So I'm glad that those are gone.
Yep.
I still wish they could figure out a better way to fund development of the game without taking some of the, selling loot instead of putting it in as an in-game reward.
Yeah,
because I feel like the rewards for activities are lacking, but there's a ton of them in the Eververse store. So I just wish they could figure out a different way, because in a looter shooter, I want there to be a lot of loot.
Yeah. I've never interacted with the Eververse store. Like I've never bought anything out of it or cared, because I knew I couldn't apply it to stuff that had the best stats in a lot of situations. I didn't care about the armor. Now, because I know I can transmog, I care more, and I probably will spend money so I can look really cool. So for me, it wasn't even Activision or Bungie. It was like, I'm never going to use this, other than a couple weapon things that I luckily got out of bright engrams. I wasn't going to go buy them because I just didn't care enough. And now I kind of, I want to look good. I want to look really good while I'm murdering these bosses. I'll tell you what though, if they could add a creator code or something like that to the Eververse store, I would mention it more, and they might have more success with it. Like that would be one way to get me interacting with. But that's because I'm a greedy piece of garbage.
The hustle's real.
Rich says, after the Armor 2.0 reveal, it looks like we can spec a build for a certain playstyle or role, even to a particular super. What builds are you guys and girls thinking of trying? Or what weapon or gear do you want to build around? I'm always reload. the game to me feels better when I have fast reload on my weapons, so I always spec for reload.
I just want to be a super flippy floppy rolling all over the place hunter. I want to just dial in on that. I want to be able to dodge every 2 seconds. That's what I work towards.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go for a lot of cooldowns with the new system. Like, I want to see if I can abuse it and make some fun. Especially, I guess tomorrow will be the big indicator. If I can use loot and double fusion grenade for divine blessing on my warlock. I want to do like a healing type build. Just play around, do some different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But PvP is going to be the same. Good neutral game stuff. Reload speed. Anything that gives me some cooldowns on my class abilities or my grenades is always going to be good.
My big thing is always how can I improve to be a support player? I really enjoy that job. Mm-hmm. I would like to see more of that in PvP and more creative ways of making me able to support my teammates in better ways. So if they can improve that, I'll be happy.
Matthew says, favorite raid exotic across all the raids from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Sorry, what's a raid exotic? They don't drop for me.
Yeah, I don't have Thousand Voices. I don't have any of them.
I'm gonna go with the original, the Vex Mythoclast. It was a complete game changer when you got it. There was a clear delineation between the people who were the haves and the have-nots. It was amazing, and it was like a completely unique weapon in the game.
I think mine is 1,000 Voices because using it on the first day, the amount of people that were like, what is that thing? Like it was a hype that I've never seen. And I mean, similar thing happened. I got luckily Vex Mythoclast to drop first hard mode raid or whatever it was when it first dropped. And I took it in Rumble and it was like, oh my God. It was the only other time I felt that where it's like, I have something that's busted. And I went across the bridge on Legion Gulch and I laser beamed it and I got like a Slayer and just melted everyone.
Wow.
And that was like the moment where I was like, oh God, this gun is sick. This is a fun gun. It might not be the best, but it is fun.
I like my favorite, and I know it's not a raid exotic, but exotic is just the Whisper because of how we got it. The new version
almost qualifies. It was a raid legendary originally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I just like the progression of it and where we have it, and the lore behind it, the look of it. There's a lot of things. I don't use it very often, to be honest with you. It was my favorite one to get.
Isn't that crazy? That gun originally came out of December of 2013. And we've been using it ever since. It's still like the best weapon in the game up to like a month ago.
That's nice.
Great. And there's 3 versions of it: Black Hammer, Black Spindle, Whisper the Worm.
Yeah.
And they all got nerfed one after
They kept trying to take it away from us.
Turns out the same perk is still broken as before. Who would have thought? I had no idea. Unbelievable.
Justice Fever 23 says, if you could pick something story related to see in a cutscene in Forsaken, what would you pick?
Story related.
Callus bathing a tiny old man Scion in a bath on the Leviathan.
Okay.
All right.
But then you realize the Scion is actually Callus.
What?
See? Great cutscene. Exactly.
That would blow my mind.
I want to see the one with Shax and Marasov.
That's just porn.
That's just straight. Like, you want to see porn.
I'm sold.
I don't think we're talking about the same cutscene.
Yeah.
Sorry. I might have watched this on a different website.
Now,
I guess they are going with T for teen.
There is a cutscene.
It's getting dark in here now.
There is a cutscene that I wish we would have gotten, and I would have wanted to see. I would like to see the moment or that point where Saint 14 is fighting off the Vex.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have seen that in a cutscene. And I think we see the Vex as this inhumane relentless machine, right? But in that moment, they feared and respected Saint 14 to a point where they developed this box just to kill him, and out of respect, they leave his body there in stasis, right? Like that scenario there. I don't know, that in a way that sort of gives character and humanizes the Vex to me, or not humanizes it gives them depth. I would have wanted to see that moment. And
yeah,
how
I would
that
like to see
materialize.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds
Normally when a lot of people, they'll write a question and then answer the question, and I don't read the answer to the question because it then colors our answers when we're answering.
Sure.
But Justice Beaver said that he'd love to see a flashback to Eris's time trapped in the Hellmouth.
Ooh.
And actually, I wouldn't mind seeing that either.
That is
No,
good.
that would
See,
be
now
cool.
that's my
How did
answer.
she
So good.
survive?
Right? That's why I don't read them.
How did she survive down
Right?
there? And
Like,
why did she need to get, how did she get the eye? How did she put the eye, and she did all that to survive? What were the circumstances to making that happen?
Yeah.
Ooh, I with Shadowkeep being so Eris focused, I would love to get some of her backstory, because she's been through a lot. She lost her whole fire team. She was in the Hellmouth. She's obviously changed physically a lot. I would love to see that.
What about oh guys, what was the guy in the Gorgon maze that the time trap the was he a Titan or a Warlock that was trapped in time? We had a sniper named after him.
Yeah, Praedyth.
I would have loved to have seen some history and backstory of Praedyth. And I know it tied into the Vault of Glass, but I would have loved to have seen how he got trapped there and because he seemed like a really powerful guardian that got bested by the Vex as well. So they had to trap him as well. They trapped him in time. So I'm curious about how anytime there's a guardian that reaches to the point where they don't know what to do with them, they find some way of getting rid of them. And Osiris is another one. I feel like we got really we got really shafted on the story of Osiris, and he's another one that the Vex tried to kill but couldn't. And I don't know, there's a lot to there.
I kind of wish they would make the characters cooler. Like in the first mission, Ikora jumps in, Nova bombs a ship. It's like sick. I want to jump into a mission and Shax comes in and just shoulder charges unnerfed bottom tree striker like 700 Vex and like stuff like that. Like make the characters more dynamic, even over the cutscenes. Like kind of bring them into the world, and I think that would make me the most happy. Is Zavala comes in and you're about to die, and he pops in and bubble shields or something like that. Little interactive things like that. I would go a long way for me.
I want to see Zavala run in with his one-eyed mask.
Yes,
teabagging
everything,
teabagging everybody.
He kills a cabal and just starts bouncing on him. Yeah.
I was like,
or Shax is just calling out, "This is amazing!"
Shax walks in.
Oh my god!
That's got a family.
Nitro Moonshine says, "What are you all most excited for in Shadowkeep?"
Change.
Right.
Change.
honestly, the artifacts. I think the artifacts is something we don't know a ton about, but I know enough to where I find that interesting and exciting.
I'm looking forward to having some story motivation. I feel like for the last year, well, not the whole year, but for the season pass stuff, so I always felt like I was just playing to get better gear, but there's no like motivation behind it. And I've always enjoyed Destiny most when I've had like a big bad guy or a threat at the end that I'm like motivated to get to. So I'd like some kind of like story motivation that kind of continues forward in Shadowkeep.
New raid, fighting some old enemies. Like there's too much. Like it's just new stuff, change. It's gonna be big.
Yeah.
I can't wait for a door that we open up and just a crap ton of hive just run out at it.
We're walking the hive.
We've awoken.
How many times have you heard that from Destiny 1? How many times did you go there to grind Thrall?
Well, yeah, because that's where you went to
Hope we
grind.
get to hear it again.
Yeah.
Iris
Yes.
just turns to the camera dramatically and says, "You've woken the hive." I would love that.
Zabe says, I love mech games and flight sims. Will we ever get mechs in space dogfights, or better yet, a mech that turns into your ship? Hello, Robotech.
No.
Huh.
To me, this is kind of the same thing as SRL, where like if I wanted a racing game, I'd go play a racing game. Like I don't need it in my looter shooter.
Do you want a bunch of average or poorly made things in a game, or do you want some really good, well-made, well-thought-out content that is a unique experience? Because again, you want some dogfights, go play some Star Wars or some better flight sim that I don't know about. Some what is that game?
Flight Simulator.
Flying Aces. Or there's racing games, and I would rather they refine and double down on raids, PvP, like Shattered Throne type dungeons. Work on that stuff. Make that the best it could possibly be. Spend your resources on balancing the game. Ace Combat, thank you. Yes, that was the flight game, and you got to keep an identity for your game. It's never been in the game. If they add it, it's a gimmick, and it's not going to bring a new audience in and be like, oh, you got to play Destiny now because you buy a ship. You know, I don't mean to be a jerk though, because if you want to fly, you want to fly. I get it.
Yeah, there are other games. What was
Flight Simulator.
No, the game I was just talking about on
Rebel Galaxy.
Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. If you want a Destiny 2 flight sim, go play Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. It's got like kind of that Firefly feel. You're flying around in space doing piratey stuff. It's good stuff. Zabe says, nope, I'm sorry, I just read Zabe's. Elusive Pineapple says, what is the correct frequency of undergarment reacquisition? Any pro tips for staying cool during long gaming sessions? That's it. I guess that's the question.
The frequency?
I don't understand.
Usually I put these toward the end. Somehow this one sneaked right in the middle of the Destiny stuff, but fuck it. Let's go with it.
Okay. So for me personally, it's when it's falling off my ass cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about right.
Once your underwear develop holes in it, then you have 9 months maximum to replace it.
Right.
Max.
If
you have to get rid of those things quick, like 9 months max.
You can't like rush to judgment though, Brian. I don't want you to rush there.
No,
it's 9 months ish. Say ish. Ish. Yeah. Because it might
really
be 12.
try and make it under that 9 month window.
I've got underwear older than my son, and he's 11. So I mean, it's just the way it happens. When it lives long, it lives long.
Like now you can order this shit off the internet. You don't have to go to the store anymore. It's wonderful.
Yeah. That's true. Staying cool while gaming. Get a fan. Get a
mesh chair.
Cool drink.
That helps.
Yes. Do not game naked on a leather chair. That's just gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
If you've been doing that, don't do that.
Dalton Who says the collector's edition of Shadowkeep, you receive a hive crypto glyph, which is a puzzle that you open by finding clues within Shadowkeep. There's a lack of commas in here, so it's trying to work through it. Opening it
at this point they're just doing to troll you, by the way.
Opening it will give you access. It's mystery contents inside. My question is, what do you think will be inside of it?
I don't know, freaking thrall poop.
Oh man,
Whoa.
That would be actually really exciting.
Exploding
I'd be so
thrall poop.
Like
like glowing green.
Like the rubberized like vomit or cat poop, like the joke store stuff, but it's thrall poop.
Yeah.
What if it was a USB stick with like a cutscene on it from Eris Morn?
Yeah.
Eris Morn, listen, Guardian. She's gonna be really disappointed when we all ride up on our Scooty McScooters, by the way.
Yes.
Who could be disappointed at that
He's
wonderful event?
Oh, what am I doing?
I want horns back.
I want
my Scooter McScooterson to have like a
Dude, I do not want horns back. That shit was so annoying. You'd have that one guy in your strike who just was on the horn for fucking the whole strike.
It's true. That did happen. Yeah, I don't know. A Titan's head in it, so I can be like, oh yes, another one dead.
Really
Kind of a
watch.
small little tube, though. You're really gonna have to cram that thing in there.
Even better. That's great.
What if it's a map to a real world treasure hunt?
What if it's
Like-
us? Yeah, that'd be amazing. Like a cloth map that
Yeah,
you could
so
then hang on
then-
the wall.
and then-
That'd actually be
And then
pretty
the
cool.
community puts it together, and it becomes a map to some sort of real world.
Damn,
They've
Pope,
done
I
it
love this
before in the
idea.
past.
If this
They-
isn't what it
something
is,
hidden.
then they should change it.
Yeah, right now.
Right now, get on that. You got a month and a half.
They did that similar to remember they did that with it was the studio, not Bungie, but the you found the big club or the mace.
Oh, when it was was it Vicarious that did that?
Vicarious Visions did that.
I think it
and they
was,
did a puzzle where if you went out and hunted, it was geocaching, right? And then they found
Right.
the first person there got to keep this real life mace, or I forget what it was.
It was wasn't it the Valkyrie spear?
Oh yeah, it was the Valkyrie
whatever it
spear.
was?
That's right.
From the
Yeah, so something similar to that, where but make it a community thing where everybody puts together their random. There's like 3,000 random pieces to this map, and when we all put it together, it forms the Voltron.
Wielding Hammer says, with intellect, strength, and discipline coming back on armor and as mods, will our current grenade and super cooldown mods auto-convert to those in name, or will they coexist alongside them? I think they're going to coexist.
Coexist, yeah. But there's going to be reasons for you to get rid of them, and I'm sure of it.
Soured Outlook says, which of the following special moves most likely will derail an episode of the podcast? A Tefty tutorial, a belligerent Briar badgering, the old Watts Weaveroo, a papal encyclical, or the Marabella meltdown.
Oh, the Marabella meltdown.
I just like that one the best, I think. The Marabella meltdown. I don't know what the fucking encyclical is anyway.
I was going to say, I don't know.
I'm not
Someone
even sure
Google
I
it.
said it right.
Who knows, truly.
I can't
Definitely the
stop yawning,
meltdown.
and it's not because I'm bored. I have like an issue right now.
You have an
Mm.
I keep seeing myself yawn on the damn screen, and it's a
You're making yourself
it's
yawn.
a vicious cycle, and I can't stop looking. Oh,
But this is when chat starts typing yawn, and then you look at chat and you're
I
like,
know I'm
oh.
having a yawn.
and then you look at
Oh,
yourself,
God.
oh no.
Don't do it.
Wake up.
The Beef Cycle says, why is punctuation so hard for some people? I don't know, man.
Maybe they're Canadian.
Is there different
That's
punctuation in
racism.
Canada?
Yeah, it's not. Dash, it's maybe
It's
nationalistic.
nationalism.
Yeah.
Okay,
Congratulations.
call it what you want to call it. DCP's getting exposed.
Exposed. Asinonics says, if you were doing an obstacle race like Spartan or Tough Mudder, who would be the 1, unbearably chipper team leader, 2, the unexpected agile one, 3, the one having the most unexpected fun, 4, the one who injures themselves, and 5, gets eaten as a protein snack?
Oh, see, I
Well, you
wanted to
started
pick
off
Briar
there.
for something else,
Yeah.
but clearly he's the protein snack.
Yeah,
So
you
I don't
always
think it's gotta
get
get eaten.
Briar.
I would say
I think-
Pope would be the unbearable chipper team leader, but we just got to take Chipper out of that, and then we're good. Just
well, if
unbearable
it's
team
Chipper,
leader.
I would say it's probably Fran. I feel like Fran would be a very chipper team leader.
I think Teft. I think MTashed is, and he's the chipper team leader. He's the.
Yeah,
Hey,
He
you
just
guys got to
can't
just keep up that tempo.
All right, let's go there, guys.
There it
All
is.
right,
Right
we
now.
can
All
do
right.
it.
Line up.
that's solved.
Actually, I did the Spartan race last year. Very fun. It was very, very fun. It was tough, but we did some training. Kat and I both did it, and it was longer than I expected it to be. Like
Yeah.
they advertised the approximate distance. There is no way that was the distance. So I asked them after, and it wasn't. There was like an extra 2 kilometers tacked on top.
Oh, really?
Well, what's
So-
that? How
It's
far
like
is
it's like almost a mile.
Ah,
Let's just do
was-
that.
Oh.
But it was cool. lots of I got to throw a spear and
Mm.
climb an
sounds
open,
fun.
do some Monkey bars? What do you think about it? It doesn't sound that great, but it was fun.
It sounds like recess.
Yeah, it's like an adult recess with people yelling at you. Do they shoot? Do they shoot like live
faster,
rounds
fucker.
above your head? Yeah. Have fun now.
Justin Bieber 23 says Justin Bieber says if you had to relocate your nose to any place on your body below your collarbone, where would you put it?
Directly
But
below
there's
my
more to
collarbone. Any lower, it's gonna get stinky, right? It's gonna stick down there. Because you're also gonna be smelling other people's butts. By the way, if you go too low.
Yeah, you don't want to go too low. You want to stay high.
Yeah.
What about like a mobile spot? Like on the back of the hand, and you kind of just like.
Is
Oh,
that
that
is
sounds
that is that?
better.
You gotta be
technically
careful
above-
about which hand though. Which hand do you wipe with? Which hand do you shake
Yeah.
other
Oh,
people's
yeah,
hands
you're
with?
right.
You want to be careful about that.
Hand
But I
does
do
sound
like
good,
the hand
actually.
idea. I could just kind of be like, "What do you smell like?" Oh no.
I'm voting hand.
Yeah, hand
Yeah,
seems like
hand
the way to
was the
go.
right choice. That's true.
Mhm.
You can go underwater and like under the coral reef.
Oh,
and
yeah.
shove your hand in there. Like,
You'd be like
think
a
of the
snorkel.
Now you can
possibility.
breathe underwater. Oh, this
Yeah.
is amazing. Okay, yeah.
I like this.
This is the best idea.
The Bohemian 9 says, "Would you rather be eaten alive or buried alive?"
Oh.
Eaten alive. What's the death point of being eaten alive? Just bleeding? Shock?
Yeah.
Bleeding death? Shock?
I don't know.
Bleeding. Yeah.
Being buried alive is not
It's
being
gonna
able to
be
breathe.
painful.
I think if I knew I was
Suffocation's
going to
the
be eaten
easy way to go.
alive, I could kill myself faster. Like I just kind of jump into the bear's mouth or whatever. Like,
jugular exposed.
you know what I mean? Like I feel
Yeah.
like I could impact things a little bit.
Also, I go out fighting with adrenaline as opposed to just like slowly
Panic.
thinking about my own fucking.
That's true. You're stuck with
Oh,
your own
impending
thoughts,
death.
And you're
I
just-
really
yeah.
hate being like tight spaces. I mean,
Yeah.
I can be up on a side of a cliff, like 600 feet up in the air, and not have a problem. But put me in a tight space, and I don't like it. So
I think it's also just like factually more painful to die by being buried alive. I think so.
Mhm.
It's really painful. It's very painful.
Okay, I believe
Yeah,
you.
I don't
want
But
like
I
that.
might. So
I don't
I might.
like it.
So if I'm getting eaten, I might just pass out because I'm like scared and shocked and stuff. I
Sure,
might
yeah.
not even be awake.
Or
Sure.
just
Sounds
run
great.
headfirst into a tree while you're trying to run away. All sorts of shit could go right for you there.
Yeah.
Dreadnought
Indeed.
says, "You've been kidnapped, but your kidnappers will allow you to post on social media so that you can tell everybody everything is all right. What would you post that would alarm your followers without the kidnappers figuring out you're asking for help?" So what would be
Titans are totally fine. I love Titans. One Eye Mask is great. Bottom Tree Striker is a pleasure to play against, especially during Arc Day.
Hmm.
People would know.
I would
Yeah,
come looking.
that
for
would do
you.
it.
Yeah. I think hunters are the best in the world. I feel like they're not cheap ass game tactics that made by people who can't face you man to man.
I just spent $100 at the Eververse store.
Hey, Pope Bear, want to play Trials?
I like that one. That was a good one.
That was great.
That was messed up.
Dredgen Droid says, "Battle of the Alter Egos. Who wins? XX420 No Scopes XX, Hipster Beard Geralt the Witcher, who's Tefty, Dad Bod Zavala, who's Pope, Brunette Sailor
Come on,
Moon
bye.
Watts, or Frank."
Oh man.
Wait, what
What are we
fighting?
doing here?
Yeah. I guess we're fighting battle, like battle royale.
We're a
say?
battle?
Yeah.
Is this a battle royale game? What's I'm really bad at BRs,
Yeah.
to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm really bad. I don't get them. My
I'm
brain.
gonna
is
go
just-
with Frank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Frank
Frank.
is definitely.
Definitely
I think
Noodles.
he's the guy that we're just afraid to touch him, you know. So
Yeah,
at that point, so you
That
just,
white glove comment, man, it really made me think.
Mhm.
This dude's so threatening that he doesn't have to slap you. He could just show you the glove.
True.
Noodle James says, "Is showering once a day sufficient, or should you shower less or more?"
If I lived in Florida, I would be
Mhm.
showering multiple times a day.
I
Okay.
shower less in Florida Not when I go to Guardian Con, but when I visit Florida, because I'm always in the pool and the ocean and shit.
That is not a bath, Brian.
No,
What do you?
count.
No, you're supposed to take a shower before you go in the pool. That's part of the rules.
And
That's
afterwards to
literally in
get
the
the
rules.
chemical. You don't take a shower before you get in the
That's
pool.
literally part of the rules.
It's not like a public pool. I'm going like a private pool
What private pool?
Stanking
You have
up
a
your own
private
pool?
in
Even
somebody's
worse?
yard.
No.
Someone else's pool in their yard.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
somebody else
you're in
is
the
getting
pool
in
like
there
3 or
with
4
you.
times a day.
Briar, think about it this way: if you
Pool
don't
is not
take
a
a shower prior to going into a pool,
Uh-huh.
there is poo particles between your butt cheeks that you are now releasing into the pool for everybody else to suck down.
The fuck are you talking about, man?
You don't you think you wipe with complete accuracy? You ghost wipe every time.
I use wet wipes, my friend, like a adult human being.
Yeah.
You're working off that old school 1980s toilet paper technology. Leave shit all over your ass. That's your problem, not mine.
All right. Touche.
All right, moving on. I guess
Go
Thomas
take,
Pierce.
just
says-
go take a shower. Just go take a shower. Just shower.
if you're wondering if you should take a shower, the answer is yes. Thomas Pierce says, could Holtzman ever be asked on as a guest to talk about his experiences? I miss the crawfish eating legend. Who, Holtzman? I'm not sure who.
I'm not sure who that is.
Is that Fran's like last name?
Yeah,
Maybe.
it might be. He's
Could be that.
Fran's on when he comes
Thought
back.
maybe you
he's
guys would
coming
know.
in. No.
Reverend Jimmy Love says, the DC, this is the last question of the night, and we're done. We can go to bed. Reverend Jimmy Love says, the DCP crew are captured by Ewoks.
We're eating Briar. Next
The
one.
Ewok
Briar.
view Briar as their god.
Kill
To
me.
maintain his status, Briar must cook and eat the remaining DCP crew one by one until help arrives. You can see why I like this question. Escape is impossible. Briar has access to all seasoning and cooking methods. What does Briar do?
Briar gets eaten because there's more of us than him.
I
Well, here, let me
beat the
adjust
shit
it.
out of all those Ewoks and let my podcasters, my fellow friends and podcasters, run free. I would not eat my friends. That's barbaric.
Mhm.
Well,
But if you had to, and you were just biding time for us to be rescued, and you had to start
Pope
at
Tefty
one.
walks.
Okay, I would go first.
Yeah.
that's understandable.
Not
I
that
wonder
I
if I
thought
taste
about
Last
like
to be
maple
picked to play
syrup.
trials with first to be eaten.
There's like a
I feel
hint
like I
of-
got
hint of
abused
sweet.
during this show. But even by
Yeah,
our guests,
I had a
what's
good
up with
time.
what's up with Tash like getting in on the Pope hate?
I don't know. I'd say it was a
It's just
successful
so
guest
easy.
host, though. Gotta
Yeah.
say.
There's
Nice
just
job.
something about you.
It is, right?
Just
Right.
something about you.
I can't put my finger on it either. Eh?
That's why.
Oh man.
So we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Let me say, Tash, thank you very much for coming on the show, man. It's been a
Thanks.
pleasure to have you on. I don't know why I was so hesitant to have you on. I thought for sure you would be a horrible guest. You know, like I was just like, no, guys, let's not have him on. And they were like, no, you have to. And so we went back and forth. But you know what? I'm just so glad that you're on. You've been on. You know, it's been good.
Glad
You
it worked
only-
out.
You only mentioned eating me or like, not inviting me to things like the entire
Why
time.
does this feel so awkward, Pope? This is.
It just is, man.
Like, did I hurt your feelings, you baby?
I'm a little hurt. I'm a little hurt.
Get over
I do it out of love. I only razz at people I love.
Briar, just end this thing.
Briar, catch the drift.
MTashed, where can we find you?
I'm MTashed. You can find me on Instagram, my fans, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. It's just MTashed everywhere.
MTashed everywhere.
Yeah, MTashed.
Yeah. MTashed everywhere.
I
like
would have asked Watts next, but she's gone, so
Yeah.
I'll go.
Watts.
I'm Briar Rabbit.
Go
You can find me on YouTube. Look for Briar Rabbit. I actually just posted a video about a new controller that I really like, so check that out. And a lot of VR content coming up. So look out for that.
And this has been Pope Air. You can find me on Twitter at Pope Air, but don't bother following me because, I'm not that important. Follow these guys. MTashed, great stuff. Check out his YouTube channel. It's phenomenal. I love his hot takes on things. He's got a great sense of humor, and you should definitely check it out. He's great with PvP. If you want to get better at, those Rumble matches, you're looking at the Rumble King.
The Rumble King.
Thank you.
His merch is pretty cool. I've got a chance to snag one of his old school shirts here, but he's got some cool stuff out there. Make sure to follow the DCP account at DCP_live. We post what other members of the community are doing, and you want to catch a show or doing whatever.
Yeah.
There's also
every once in a while, Pope will mix up his accounts and put up a nude photo. That's always fun.
Nice.
It's true. It's true, but it usually of the ones that Briar sends me. So
also true.
Like that. I want to take this time. I know at the beginning of the show I did. I can't tell you how important it is to have our patrons support us. We've been able to launch our second podcast, the DCP Side Quest podcast, with Briar, Watts, Tefty, and Eric's Gaming. This next week we're gonna have a guest on for Eric's. We're gonna be announcing that soon. I just want to tell you guys that support has been invaluable. We've been able to start this new podcast, and it's doing great. We are also at a point now, because of your support, that we're able to launch it on its own channel. So coming soon.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for this. Some people are fans of DCP, but not fans of SideQuest. Some people are fans of SideQuest, but not DCP. So they're going to get their own channels. They're going to be separated.
So SideQuest is this show where we talk about all things except for Destiny. So we are splitting it off soon to its own RSS feed. So be prepared to hear those announcements coming soon. And we're also starting its own YouTube channel. But there'll be a little bit of crossover for a little bit, and then it will make the split. So your support has been.
It's worth noting that if you do want to get both of them, you will be able to get both in one place. So if you're like, oh, I like both, I don't want to have to go and sign up for this like whole other thing, you will be able to get both if you want that. So you have the option of getting one or the other, or you can have them together.
And this is feedback that the patrons are giving us, and we're happy to continue to support them. We've got Twitch, the subscribers on Twitch. You guys are amazing. If you're watching this on YouTube, make a comment below about how sexy MTashed was on the show. This thing. It's great. And also just remember, coming up PAX West, we've got a great we got a meetup happening there Saturday night, and with a location to be determined. We're gonna have some fun swag and chance to hang out with you guys, and we're gonna be also doing a meetup earlier that day. I think on Friday or Saturday. I have to nail this down. Maybe on both days. We are going to be at the Scuf Gaming booth, and we are going to be doing a meet and greet there and a fun little activity to engage with you guys. Maybe you'll get a chance to play against us, and the winner of a 4v4 gets something. I don't know. There's some fun stuff happening. If you're going to PAX, make sure to follow our account, and don't miss out on those meetups. Did I miss anything, guys? I don't think so. And if I did, you know what? It's okay. We'll tweet about it or throw it up on Instagram, and you can catch it later. Thanks, Dash. You've been great.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
thanks for putting up with my rants.
No,
your rants were fantastic.
They were great. Only if your gameplay was as good as your rants.
That's what I keep saying. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen,
Yeah. I mean,
what the heck?
Rumble King, more like Fumble King. Am I right?
For audio listeners, MTashed has exited the call.
Oh, he just absolutely blew up the podcast. None of the screens.
All right, that's it. We gotta go.
Bye,
we'll find you.
Yep.
Oh, he's back. He brought it back. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend your sensitive Canadian sensibilities.
Well, that's where can people find you?
I'm Miss 5000 Watch. Find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts. Briar?
All right. Are we going to do end screen? He already did it.
That's it. It's just me.
You were gone.
Yeah.
Are we going to do end screen stuff?
Yeah.
And then when we come back from that, we're going to raid somebody.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
We'll be back to read subs.